There they are, those two handsome faces. Ceviche by the incomparable Jevin Daly playing us in the Indulgent Islander Podcast, episode 12. Tim Wood here with the man, the myth, the legend. What's with the get up, Mr. Nick? Send nudes.
I don't have a sushi shirt, but I got a send nudes shirt.
I love it. I love it. Very nice. How are you this week? How are you today, sir?
I'm doing great. I had a good day yesterday. Some great meetings. You and I have been having some really exciting conversations over the last week or two. We got some really, really exciting things coming down the pike. We're not going to get into them and talk to them yet, but let's just say stay tuned. Yes, exactly. Stay tuned as we wind down season 1 here and look ahead to season 2. It's going to get a lot more interesting over here at the Indulgent Islander Podcast, wouldn't you say, Tim?
A little bit. Always good to evolve, and I think we're doing just that. So it's crazy to think that we are more than 3 months into this at this point. Episode 12. For those who are unsure of what we're talking about, like, we're gonna do like 15 episode seasons. So we'll get through episode 15. We'll take a little break, come back at you with season 2. We had a plan out of the gate. The whole idea behind the podcast is to really highlight what is going on in the South Carolina low country food scene. And, you know, Tim Wood, I have been in the food scene for probably 20 years now. Done a lot of different things around it. Used to do a food dude column for the old Bluffton Today newspaper, Bluffton Sun, bunch of different outlets. Written a lot of food stuff for magazines. Nick DeSimone, who you see on the screen, is the mastermind behind the Indulgent Islander, behind the podcast idea. He's come into the area and has been so impressed with the food scene that he wanted to really get out and advocate and promote the restaurant industry. We do this in a way that, and it's why Nick and I synced up so quickly, because we have the same mission. Like, we want to point you to the great experiences, to all of the amazing, with over 500 restaurants just in the Low Country alone. We're not even talking about Savannah. We're talking about Bluffton, Hilton Head. Really, not even heading over, north of the Broad. Which, again, we hear you, and as we evolve, we're gonna hopefully start talking about some spots, not necessarily right in your own backyard, maybe a little bit of a drive, but worth the effort, right? So the whole idea is advocacy, right, Nick?
100%. I said this a couple of months ago when I was doing one of my walk and talks. My goal for this is to be not the voice of food for the Low Country, but the voice of the voiceless. For the restaurants, chefs, food and beverage workers, food truck owners, private chefs, bartenders, mixologists, all this stuff that falls under the umbrella. Yes, they have outlets on social media for the most part, but they don't have someone to speak for them, someone to spotlight them, an entity, if you will, to get more exposure, to be an advocate, and to just keep our community in the know about what's going on. A restaurant that they might not have heard of, what a restaurant or a local food business is doing that, they might not be in the loop on. and we want to cater to our locals, obviously, first and foremost. But just right with there, we want this to also be a resource for all the wonderful tourists and vacationers that start flocking down here. We're getting very close to it, right? April, early April. Here we are. We got Easter coming up in the next couple of weeks. We got
The
Heritage.
pools are opening. Yeah, I mean the water's getting warmer at the beach. The Caligny parking is already overflowed, but that's a whole different topic.
Oh yeah, I didn't realize they were going to be using Enchilada as a parking lot.
Hopefully, that's going to free things up a little bit. But that was nuts to see enchiladas. Uh, so many memories there. To see enchiladas torn down. Um, but yes, that will hopefully, because what's happening right now, and this does pertain to restaurants. What's happening right now, honestly, even early out of the gates, is that you've got a lot of beach traffic overflowing Caligny Plaza. And so you've got the folks that want to go to Caligny with nowhere to park, and therefore there's nobody in the restaurants and the businesses at Caligny and around the whole Caligny area. Um, I hope they, I hope that they continue. I know that the best minds are at work on this. I hope they continue to evolve the situation there. Um, because the first ones that are gonna suffer are the restaurants in terms of if they can't if they can't solve that parking situation. But I listen, I have confidence that they will. And just early conversations with a lot of those restaurant owners down there. I feel like they're confident. They've had a lot of conversations with the town. I feel like they're confident that it's going to get there, and we're going to have a great tourist season. And that's we're here to highlight the great choices for the tourists. We're here to highlight the great choices for the locals. Um, you said it. Like uh, they are so busy in the trenches. Between being creative, between being service oriented, they're so busy in the trenches. A lot of times they can't speak up for themselves. Yes, they have, like you said, they have social media, but not promoting them on an ongoing basis. Not having others promote them. It's a different thing when you've got others saying it, and we want to be the voice of authority. Um, i- it's we've heard some things. We've heard some feedback, some really good feedback. Um, why don't you why don't you guys debate more? Why don't you guys point out the places that suck? I mean, yes, we're gonna debate because I think that's where Nick and I've kind of been finding the groove, right? This is Nick's baby. So I've been trying to be more of the the pilot flying the broadcast. Um not that we need to debate, but Nick and I aren't always going to agree, but um the one thing you're not gonna hear from us, and I'm sorry if this disappoints some folks, you're not gonna hear the negativity. I've always been a believer, and it's again another thing that Nick and I have been simpatico on is just if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So if you don't hear us talking about a place, maybe there's a reason for it. That's the best I can do for you, right? Is that fair to say?
100%. That's not the spirit of this brand. The spirit of this brand is support, like you said, advocacy, exposure, promotion. you've given me a voice. You've given me a platform to disseminate my voice and my opinions on food and restaurants through this area. But you have a voice too. And as we continue to grow, I think you're going to hear a lot more opinions from Tim, just like you hear from me. But what you're not going to hear is, like Tim said, this place sucked. If it was not good, then most likely we're not going to talk about it. Now that doesn't mean that we don't have credibility. I'm not averse to mentioning something that might have been less than ideal at any
Constructive
particular
criticism.
experience. But I also am going to have, 99% of the time, I'm going to bring it up to the restaurant owner or the server or the manager, whomever is available. I don't think I'm a squeaky wheel by any means, but any restaurateur that's worth their salt or whatever the expression would be is going to appreciate that. They want to hear from especially loyal, regular customers. But this is not the destination for all of the cesspool of negativity that you find on social media. Obviously, we operate a lot, in that space, but you're not going to hear negativity from us. That's not what the spirit of this show is about. I had to tell someone on Facebook, I was on my own personal page just a week or two ago, please keep the negativity off my page. And, you're entitled to your opinion. Everyone is, but you're not entitled to your opinion on my personal page. And I guess the next question would be, well, what about on the Indulgent Islander page? I'm not going to delete any comments unless you overstep the line and use foul language or you attack someone individually, personally. You're just not going to get a reaction from me if you're going to say, anything negative about any of these places. That's not what we're here for.
Like you said, and this has always been my policy with what's happening in Bluffton, with any social media that I run. Uh, if you have a problem with any business, take it up with the management first. Take it up with a server, go to the manager, the general manager, wherever you can find a means to voice your concerns. If you've done that, okay, and then you've got a problem, come to us. Hit us up on social media. Hit us up on email. Hit us. We're both on Facebook. Hit us up on DM. Let us know. We want to know because, like Nick said, these restaurants want to know. They are so much more so many of these creatives and just creative types in general are much more comfortable with criticism than plaudits, than kudos, and they want to know what needs to be fixed. They don't need to have their ego stroked all the time. They are constantly focused on evolving the experience for the diner. And like Nick said before, anybody, I can confidently say anybody that we're talking about on this podcast has already proven that they're going to fix issues. And not just fix issues, they're gonna go above and beyond in making sure the diner has the kind of experience that they deserve. So
100%. And don't be that guy. Don't be that guy that tells them everything's hunky dory and you had a good dinner, thank you, and then run home.
hit up Yelp.
So, yeah, with those keyboard warrior fingers and destroy a business. That's not helping anybody. You
Not
know,
helping your wallet, not helping them get better. I mean, yeah. So we got a big show this week. We're packing a lot into a little punch this week. The topic of Nick's list this week is sushi. We have a great guest coming up. Marshall Sampson from Kung Fu Cantina is going to join us to talk about um, what they're doing with Asian Latin fusion, which is really exciting to bring to the the area. We've also got one of our faves coming up, right, Nick?
Yes, sir. We've been waiting for this one for a while. He's a tough guy to nail down, and we'll cover that in the interview. But we got Antonio Mancini Albano, AMA Private Dining, carved out a few minutes in his super, super busy schedule to talk about what his experience has been here as a private in home chef and all the wonderful local purveyors that he's been collaborating with, how our relationship came to be about, and what kind of stuff he's got planned specifically with a pre-order that he did for this coming weekend that I am extremely excited to get my hands on. So
Very
yeah,
cool stuff.
this was a loaded one, and we're just trying to finish strong. And we also want to mention, we've gotten some feedback about length, and as we started this whole endeavor, we said, and Tim said, if we're having a passionate conversation, we just want to kind of let it ride. We are going to start making some modifications to present things to you in more um, digestible doses, I guess you would say, to put it in a food term. And so just bear with us. Um, Again, this has been really exciting, interesting, but educational also experience. So I think it's fair to say that for those of you who were tuned in for the very beginning, whether it was episode 1, 2, or 3, we've tried to modify things on the fly, but we're also going to, like Tim said, we're going to regroup at the end of the month here as we go into May and the summer months. We're going to regroup, retool, and we're going to start making some modifications because we do listen to our listeners. We it's not just about our voices, it's about your voices, and your voices need to be heard as well. Not in a negative Yelp review, but in your comments. Keep the comments and the DMs and the personal. I've had a couple people in and out of the restaurant business give me some feedback, and it's all constructive criticism. For the most part, everything's been positive, and I wouldn't say that any of the criticism or recommendations are negative, but they're all aimed towards making this a better experience for all of you who are hopefully tuning in every week for your foodie fix.
Yeah, I think that it's exciting, and Nick and I are no different in terms of, like, I personally am much more comfortable with constructive criticism than I am praise. I'm very excited about the reception. We're both very excited about the reception to the podcast. Um, Nick's been looking for this platform for a while. He's got an insane library built up of video takes on places, but hasn't had this kind of platform to kind of get it all out. And so Nick's verbose. Um, I uh, had a reputation in the newspaper and magazine industry for writing long. I would always couch that in saying, I just want to give you guys stuff to cut. Like, I never want to leave you short. I never want to leave you short in terms of having to fill space. But listen, I like to talk too. So, like, this is, it's why I love doing the podcast and the broadcast so much, is to kind of expand on topics and not be as constrained on on s- time. That said, as Nick said, we hear you, and we're constantly evolving. We're constantly trying to tighten things up. And with that said, want to get into news and notes for this week, Nick?
Yes, sir. And
So
go ahead.
let's uh let's bring in the sponsor of news and notes, Anthony Mascolo, Anthony and Co Homes.com, luxury real estate advisor serving Bluffton, Hilton Head, and the Low Country, part of the Keller Williams Low Country family. You can get in touch with him. Uh, via text or calling at 347-739-5984. AnthonyandCoHomes.com. Busy season for Mr. Anthony right now. We've exchanged some texts over the last week, but I know he's, this is the busy season. This is when you don't see Anthony on the weekends because he is crazy busy showing some houses.
Not just that, but as we record here on April 9th, it's a big day for Anthony. It's a big day for John Paul II Catholic School, right? It's a big day for Ralphie's Pizza, where we enjoyed some lunch earlier this week. It's their day of giving. Again, April 9th today. 10% of all sales going to John Paul II Catholics Day of Giving. So this is really good stuff.
Athletic
And
program or the school in general?
I want to say, just says Day of Giving.
Okay.
Yeah, we got a baseball player and a football player carrying a flag and things like that. So I would assume towards the athletic program, but I'm not 100% sure.
Anthony's big at JP2. He's a coach on the football team, huge athletic booster and just booster of the school in general. So that's not shocking, and just one of the many things that Anthony does around the community. And boy, for him to jump on what we were doing so quickly. Another project that we're working on getting going, involving JP2. He's been so quick to just really want to do things that are pumping up the community.
100%. He gets it. He's on the same page as us as far as those things go. He's mixing a cocktail today on his Facebook page. On his actually Ralphie's page. He shared it from Ralphie's page. So very active, not just obviously with his real estate business, but very active with the school. I think it is just towards the school in general now that I'm noticing.
Yep. Yep.
And, has been a part of Ralphie's and helping them promote and get up off the ground. Ralphie's Pizza as well, and right from the jump, wanted to be involved in the podcast, wanted to work together with us, and we can't be more appreciative of having him as a sponsor for the program.
And come on, look at the rock bod there. Inspiration for us all. I gotta tell you, Nick. I even if you're just doing it as maybe a fundraiser, I want to see you embrace the I want to see you embrace the bald head.
Me?
Yeah. Yeah. You are such you are such a menacing figure. I honestly think you would look uh good just going uh full naked head.
What you're saying is you really want to see this gigantic head of mine bald with the sun glistening off of. I mean, most people won't be able to see it because I am pretty tall. I feel like I'm shrinking, but I am about 6'1". I have, for most of my life, I've gone with very, very short haircuts. I've usually gone with the just comb it down. I used to do quite a few of the, you know, of the crew cuts, if you will. But as my hairline recedes as I approach 46 years of age, I'm just trying to hang on. So sometimes I'll get a little bit of a ball busting from Joe at Joe's Classic Cuts. He says, "What are we doing here, Travolta, with this hair?" I don't put anything in it. I always say, I'm not. I don't use any condiments in my hair. There's another food analogy, but I am enjoying it. Like I said, I'm holding on to every last piece of hair that I can.
Anthony pulls it off. Yeah, I listen, I got a nice head of hair, but as I hit 52 on last Sunday, um the I really noticed the hair coming out in the shower a little bit more. So,
Oh boy.
um yeah. Yeah. Um my buddy Rob Lowe talks a lot about that and trying to stave off propecia. Never had propecia issues in my family, but, we're trying to juggle everything, so, um, I did St. Baldrick's one year, I did bald myself, and I we did the shaving for St. Baldrick's, and, yeah, not again, no. I I saw I'm always willing to try new things. I had a period where I went blonde, um I'm always willing to try, and it was yeah, that was not really effective either. Um, Very Logan Paulish, didn't, but not in a good way. Um, anyway, we digress. We love Anthony Mascolo. Anthony pulls it off in every way, and so supportive of the community. Anthony and cohomes.com. All right, news and notes for this week, sir. Where do you want to start?
Um, well, I didn't have this on the itinerary, but you mentioned Coligny. I was there yesterday. Stopped by to see my friends at Cafe Al Dente, and took a little lunch to go. I actually was able to find a parking space. It was a little dicey when I was about to step out. It was one of those giant puddle spaces that are usually the only ones left when Coligny starts to get busy. But I had been dying to try their Bronx chicken parm hero, and noticed that they had a chicken Milanese as well, which is one of my wife's favorites. So I took some what was, I guess, intending to be a lunch, but ended up being dinner the way that yesterday turned out, and it was excellent. Um, I know Coligny's a popular place, and like you said, that parking is a challenge. Hopefully, things will start to alleviate as they make some improvements. I know everybody's rushing to where they can park for free now that they have the new regulations, but had a nice lunch there. I told you exactly what was going to happen last week when we did Chinese food and other Asian food. I said I'm going to end up ordering Chinese. I met a friend over at Side Hustle, which we're going to talk breweries and um, tap rooms on the next episode. So I met a friend over at Side Hustle, and it's just, I think I said it last week on the podcast. It's very easy for me when I'm about to pull out a Side Hustle to say, should I pick up some Vien Pho? Or in this case, I decided to get around finally to picking up some dinner at China Walk, which is one of the few Chinese restaurants or Asian restaurants, period, that I hadn't been to. I was pleasantly surprised, and I shouldn't say pleasantly surprised, but I just, you never know what to expect with some of these Americanized Chinese food restaurants. I picked up a couple of a number of things, including egg foo young, which we discussed is not particularly easy to find.
Yeah.
Um, Pretty much what you would expect from a like I said, an Americanized Chinese restaurant. Um, Put my order in online, stopped by, picked it up, and enjoyed it. Probably got a solid 2.5 meals out of it. So that was just a follow up to last week.
Gets it
I'm
done.
very predictable. Yeah, it
Yeah,
definitely
well,
gets it.
I follow your social, so yeah, it might not have been on the agenda, but I knew we were going to talk China Walk, and I knew after what you posted with the Bronx chicken. By the way, what is the Bronx chicken parm? What makes it what makes it Bronx?
I don't think it's anything like particular. It's probably just rooted in their background. I mean, they have a restaurant up in New York. I believe it's out on Long Island. I should actually ask Damien and Yachi about that, if there's a particular reason why they call it the Bronx Chicken Parm Hero. They use vodka sauce and the fresh mozzarella, which is really nice. And even the chicken Milanese had something a little bit different. There was a couple of sauce cups. He had mentioned he put the sauce on the side because he didn't want to make the chicken cutlet soggy. But they had a really nice, chicken cutlet, and they give you a salsa verde on the side, which is
Ooh,
interesting. Yeah,
ooh.
so that was a nice treat. They have lunch menu, dinner menu. They're going to be opening another location out here in New Riverside very soon. I think they said fall was the estimate for that. They got an end unit in that strip that's across the pond from Eggs Up Grill.
Yes.
So I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, it was. I don't get that many chances to get all the way down by Coligny. I saw there was a line out the door for Sweet Owls, which was nice. We'll be probably talking about them on an upcoming episode of season two.
I went to school in the Bronx at Fordham. Honestly, that's where a lot of my food passion was born, on Arthur Avenue in the Bronx, and with all the amazing Italian options, all the amazing pizza options, the Greek restaurants right near me. Shout out to Pete's Cafe. Um, but when I think of the Bronx right now, and when I saw Bronx chicken parm, I thought of Bobby Bonilla and like the Bobby Bonilla Bob Clappish exchange back in the day where Bobby Bonilla is like, "I'll show you the. You want me to show you the Bronx? I'll show you the Bronx." That's what I think. Like the Bronx chicken parm is just like, "You want me to show you chicken parm? We're going to show you chicken parm." And your comment with that was great. It was like, "I ain't got pictures. I'm just telling you, have it. Period."
That's it. The Boogie Down Bronx. That sandwich was legit. The bread was. I warmed it up a little bit in the oven. The bread was nice and crispy. Sesame Italian bread. Really nice, healthy pieces of large pieces of chicken cutlet in there. The sauce, the cheese, it all got it done. I really even enjoyed the fries. I get some really nice seasoned fries. They have two new dishes with fresh and local ingredients: mac and peas, which is one of my favorite comfort foods that my mother makes, and I've learned how to make myself. Um, it looks, I mean, super creamy. Just check out their Facebook page; you'll see it. They got a seasonal burrata that looks mouth-watering with the prosciutto on there, and then it mentions that you can get a wine pairing available with their prefix menu. So yeah, that was
What
a
what is mac and peas? I mean, it seems self-explanatory, but is there a cheesy sauce involved in just adding peas into?
not with my mother's version, and that was actually her observation, which was um, she said, it looks like a more of like a mac and cheese. I think is what she said. Um, According to the dinner menu, it says macaroni, which is obviously the macaroni, as we say, the pasta, fonduta and taleggio, two different kinds of cheeses, and then they sprinkle some pistachio on top. So it's not heavy forward on the peas. My mom's dish is like literally an entire can of baby sweet peas. My wife actually asked me when she went to the store the other day. She said, "What kind of peas do you need?" And I sent her a picture, and she came home with a small can. I said, "We got to get another one because this is definitely. I like as overloaded with the peas,
Yep.
some chopped onions, a little bit of a saute. So I'm excited for that. Like I said, the seasonal burrata on there as well. This is authentic Italian food, and obviously they come from New York. They they're going to have this new location pretty soon. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. I also wanted to get into. We talked about this being soft shell crab season.
Hey, before you get into that, let me just
Sure.
say real quick, because to put a bow on the Chinese, I
Yes.
also we talked about this place on the show last week. I went to Express, China Express, the one that's next to Sunset Pizza,
Okay.
and we both said we'd heard great things about it. I went for lunch one day. Outstanding, outstanding. And I don't do or uh I'm kind of in the small meal mode right now, so I don't do the over ordering that you do. I just had a couple of things. I just had the chicken with broccoli. I had the General Chow. Both fantastic. So shout out. a shout out, definitely. Like you said, one of the few that you hadn't tried. That was one of the few I hadn't tried. Heard great things about it. Have been to Sunset Pizza and Full Moon Saloon a few times, and it's right there. And it just kept saying, I gotta try this. Gotta try this. I'm hearing good things, and heard heard y'all and tried it, and thumbs up.
That's what we do. I like that place. They got 202 Google reviews and it averages out to 4.3 stars.
Yep.
So when you have that much aggregated reviews, and again, they have the egg foo young. That's what got me over there in the first place. And yeah, just I love that whole little strip there with Sunset and Half Day Cafe, and of course the China Express. So yeah, that's a good way to close the loop on the Chinese food episode.
So you mentioned soft when we talked about this last week with what am I why am I blanking? Uh Lulu Kitchen. I'm sorry. Blanking. We were talking about soft shell crab season, and you went out and dove in over at one of the OGs.
Yes. So my friend Matt Papka, who's a big foodie, he and I got together for some lunch. It was a beautiful day for lunch out on the dock bar over at Hudson's. We grabbed a table. We indulged in a couple of different things, all seafood options. And I was blown away by the number of options that you have at Hudson's. I mean, obviously, it's one of our go to spots for seafood on Hilton Head. And I'm not the biggest soft shell guy. I think last year I just went with a soft shell appetizer. This year I decided to step it up. I went with a po' boy, a soft shell po' boy. We enjoyed some oysters, but the amount of options you can get the appetizer, you can get the on a salad, po' boy, BLT, entree, Meunier, hand sauteed. I was really interested in this Buster soft shell crab, jumbo lump crab stuffed béarnaise sauce, and then they have
This
a
is
gluten
your
free
table with
option.
Matt.
Yeah, this is the two of us. Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. I go with their bang bang shrimp. He prefers buffalo. He likes fried oysters, which is kind of little of an off menu thing that they do for him. He did some fried green tomatoes, and you got some red rice with a couple of hush puppies there. So we enjoyed a couple of painkillers, had a delicious lunch, all killer, no filler, and I can't recommend. These are local, cultivated on the premises. The soft shell crab. So you're seeing them there, like you said, Lulu, Shea George. I know Radici just got a whole nother shipment in, I think yesterday that they posted. No shortage of options for the soft shell crabs in the area. So go out and get them while they're hot.
And I know that Bluffton Seafood House that has them in with, and I know that Russo's has them in for takeout over in Bluffton. But yeah, soft shell all over the place. And you went to you went to the epicenter.
Absolutely.
Nice.
Hudson's, never a bad meal.
Where to next?
We mentioned Ralphie's briefly. I just want to give them a quick shout out. For those who are practicing Catholics that don't like to eat seafood on Fridays during Lent, they came out with a couple of Lenten menu options, which I thought was really cool. So there you see are the mussels. Got some linguine with, excuse me, yeah, linguine with clams.
Yep.
They said clam linguine on their page. Classic, comforting, and full of flavor. It says again, that's one of the the dishes that they have with spaghetti over at Radice as well. It's always been a favorite. And the Fruta de Mar seafood pasta. Look how loaded that is with seafood. I saw quite a bit of feedback through the weekend for the people that saw these beautiful dishes posted. Um, you know, 5 days ago or whatever it was. I think it was on Friday, and people went out and they enjoyed it. So it's always great to have options for those who are practicing Catholics that don't want to eat meat. I know Easter's a week from Sunday, but still, those caught my eye and caught the attention of the public at large, and they enjoyed.
The Easter buffets are out in on Moss, and one spot where we know that you can get a great Easter dinner is at the aforementioned Lulu Kitchen Restaurant and Bar. Open Table Diner's Choice for 2024, sure to be for 2025. Your next favorite dining destination, upscale American cuisine, helmed by acclaimed chef Scott Hastings and his wife Jennifer. Their spring menu has sprung. Come sample it. Join them for Easter on April 20th. Wow, that is coming. That is 11 days away. So get online, check out the menus, reserve your space online at lulukitchen-hhi.com. 890 William Hilton Parkway, Suite 1, 843-648-5858. A proud sponsor of the Indulgent Islander podcast, and we're proud to be partners with them.
100%. Lulu season is here.
Got to get
No
there
better
for
place.
the. Got to try their soft shells too.
Absolutely. No better place to enjoy, like I said, Easter, Mother's Day, Father's Day, lunch, dinner, brunch, beautiful dining room, beautiful outdoor area. They're making some improvements to that. We love Scott and Jennifer and Zoe and the rest of the gang. Go check them out. Get some soft shells. They get a little creative, just a little, right, with their options in general. But these soft shells, a couple of different ways that are doing them are just making me drool.
If I had to, put together a list, and I actually had Jason in Bluffton sent this to me online and asked me, um, who are the 5 restaurateurs? What's your top 5 restaurateurs that uh, could be mascots for the low country food scene in terms of the fun they have and the joy they show? I gotta put Chef Scott. I don't have a full list, and this is could be a topic for later shows, but Chef Scott's got to be in there.
Absolutely. I mean, you can just see like it shines through with the expression on his face. You know, this guy loves what he does. If you're going to be part of that team, you got to be right there with that, and that's what keeps bringing people back. I always say this is my mother's favorite spot. There's a reason why. She loves going there. She loves bringing. She loves going there with friends. Friends come into town. They visit. Um, I got friends coming into town towards the end of the month. I got a reservation for dinner at Lulu because if I only got a couple of shots in a weekend and I want my friends to enjoy the best of the best, that's going to be at the top of the list of where I'm going. So yeah, I'd have to give some thought to give you the full roster, but Scott's definitely a starter on that team.
Yeah, let's table that for a future episode. I like the topic though.
Yeah,
It's
personalities.
hard to narrow it down, but yeah, personalities in the food scene for sure. Um, heard so much about the DeSimone family dinners, and there's been plenty of them at Lulu Kitchen. Haven't heard a whole lot lately. What's going on? Like, when's the next family get together?
So my mom's actually in St. Augustine with her girlfriends, having a blast this week. I've been seeing a lot of food pics and hanging out by the pool pics and stuff like that. it's been a busy couple of months for my family. My sister, my brother, my cousin, they're all purchasing homes. So we got my brother wrapped up. We got my sister's coming up, hopefully in June. My cousin somewhere between now and then, and so they've been busy with that. She's been helping them get squared away with appliances and all that good stuff now that they're becoming homeowners. Very excited for all of them. My father had a little bout of skin cancer, so he had a procedure done where he had a little bit of a spot on his nose that had to have some plastic surgery done. So he took a little bit of a break from being in public view. He's got this big crazy bandage. So I've seen him a couple of times, but he took a break from working over at Oyster Reef at the golf club, and didn't stop him from his responsibilities with the Knights of Columbus and their golf outing, and now he's got the Italian American Club and their golf outing coming up. So he didn't shirk his responsibilities, but we kind of put a pause on. But now that spring and summer, I mean, I always see my family around Easter time. I don't know specifically what my mom's got planned for this year, but that's a loaded weekend.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know, you got Easter Sunday. You got the Heritage, obviously, next weekend. Masters this weekend. Heritage next weekend. I'm not planning on attending unless something comes up, maybe for a ticket or a pair of tickets for Thursday or Friday. I'll venture out there to see some friends and chat it up. But it's interesting. I didn't realize this until I was speaking with George Casalicchio from Chez George. Easter and Heritage being the same weekend, not ideal for the restaurant business,
No,
right?
not at all.
Because you're putting two very big things together in the same weekend. So whereas if Easter was a separate weekend, it's typically before the Heritage, you would have a busy Easter weekend and a busy Heritage. Now it's like you got this double whammy where they're both at the same time. So it's just the way that the calendar
And
worked
neither
out
one
this
of those
year.
crowds is going to get full full attention because there's only so many seats to be had. Yeah, I hear it. I actually, I covered the Heritage for quite a few years, and you hear it from the golfers that they like it on those years because, especially the ones that are part of the Christian Fellowship of athletes that do the services, and they especially like combining it. But um, n- by and large, not even the golfers like it either because they like to have they like to have the two separate things as well. Like for instance, the U.S. Open's become a tradition for Father's Day. That is just a thing that always happens. Um, but the Heritage falls on on different weekends, and as Easter does. So yeah, it's a rotation sort of thing when it happens, and it'll be interesting to see how I love to see how uh just the inside baseball of it all, how the restaurants handle the double rush sort of scene of it all. I won't be here. I will be where am I going to be? I'm going to be in Rock Hill at a travel basketball tournament. Um but I'm sure we'll hear plenty about it after. And then I will be planning planning a trip that for that next week. So that we'll talk about in the near future. But we are putting just again behind the scenes a little bit. We are putting a couple scenes in the can, couple episodes in the can ahead of time. I will be traveling abroad for a few days on assignment. So um, yeah, excited to share those adventures with you guys in the future. One last thing before we get into our interviews for this week. And so Allie in Hardyville, she DM'd me and she was like, I really hope that you guys will have like a question and answer segment in the coming future. And I said, we're kind of stockpiling. Like we really want to do the segment. We don't want to like have weeks where we're short on questions or where there's too many questions. So we're kind of stockpiling some questions. But one question that she did have that I want to answer because it kind of uh, it amused me that people are watching us so closely. They watch your clothes. They love your different hats and your different T-shirts each week. Um, People have noticed this cup that I have. Um, and it's not meant to be rude. Let me get it right in the it's not meant to be rude. It's just it says, "Shh, no one cares." Okay, this is available at Cracker Barrel, by the way. This is where I got it. Uh, First of all, it's a phenomenal mug in terms of fitting about 24 ounces of coffee and really keeping it warm. But it's also a reminder to me to keep things succinct. I especially use it during the podcast that I do. I'm not trying to be rude to people or put it in the camera at a time to say shh. It's kind of a reminder to me to just kind of keep things flowing and keep things succinct as a producer, as a host, as a speaker. So, Allie, appreciate the question and appreciate the patronage. She's a big Nick fan. Big
Okay.
Nick fan. So, you know, the idea and again, something we can explore in the future. A couple of commenters, a couple of DMers have kind of floated the idea like, can we have lunch with you guys? You guys are so into it. Can we like do lunch with you guys? So, like, yes, first of all, and like second, maybe we'll do some sort of contest around that with our sponsors or yeah, we'll come up with something, but that'll be fun. That'll be fun. We can't say it enough. We appreciate you guys watching so much, right? I mean, it's like it's crazy to hear people start talking about seeing my cups and seeing your t-shirts. It's like we're both kind of humble and modest and I'm kind of an extroverted introvert. So like when you start kind of putting yourself out there, it's kind of interesting what people are seeing, what people are commenting on.
I got to be honest. I didn't know that you meant Nick fan, meaning a fan of mine. I thought you meant like the New York Knicks. I'm not used to hearing he or she is a big Nick fan, meaning myself. That's extremely humbling, and thank
She
you.
was actually talking about my trainer Nick Shappy, but that's no, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Well, that's big. That's big Nick
That's Big Nick.
fan.
Yeah.
He might not
That's
be
rock.
as,
That's
as
rock Nick.
tall or as large as me, but we're talking about physiques. We're talking about Anthony. Shappy's shredded up. But
Nah,
yeah,
she's a big fan of the shirts.
that's great. Well, listen, as we always discuss, everything that I do is intentional. I don't have too many opportunities for my send nudes T-shirt with my noodles. I actually had to ask Josh which ramen shirt should I wear because I got another one that's more artistic with that old the big wave incorporated into the
Yep.
bowl of ramen. We'll go circle back to that another time. So yeah, I didn't mean to just dismiss that. I was about to say it's a great time to be a Nick fan, and that would have sounded extremely egotistical. Now that I know that she was talking about me, so yeah, that sounds a lot of fun. I love the idea of a mailbag as well. I again, input is welcome. This is as Tim says, this is fluid, not just the lists, but the ideas and the plans for the show. So please keep it coming, and I'll continue to keep wearing different. I'm a merch head, so I got a lot of tools in my toolbox as far as, and it's not just wrestling, obviously, as you could see, but a lot of pop culture and music and television shows and all kinds of stuff like that. My wife is very patient with my addiction to t-shirts and hats and merchandise in general.
Couple people really got a kick out of um the um the AI stuff last week, and they noticed the misspelling on some of it. Some of the you know they noticed the misspelling on some of the AI stuff that came up, and that's just part of AI. you gotta go back in and tweak things, but they especially love the fact that every AI came up with a wrestling shirt for you.
By request. I'm still working on that. For some reason, yeah, AI is not that smart when it comes to, the more you ask it to make modifications, you got misspellings and things like that. But we're getting close. I'm backed up by like a couple days right now for some reason. I keep asking it to make a tweak with one of the designs, incorporate more of a marina background. So I sent you a couple the other night, and it's still a work in progress. But I'll be putting more of these out when we release the shows. I was asking for wrestling T-shirts. Actually, the Cody Rhodes, they just put that on me, and then I said, "How about a CM Punk?" And then sometimes it messes with those, and it doesn't read exactly like that. But it's been a lot of fun for someone like me. Even creating that package of action figures for you and I. You should have seen the some of the wrestlers in trunks that they were creating for you and I for that theme. I blame John Park for that because
I
he had an
don't
action figure.
Okay, so I don't I don't put stuff. I don't like to brag or name drop. But I do have a history in the sports industry. And I uh helped grow Bleacher Report and made a lot of friends in the industry there. Very young Peter Schrager applied with us. Uh, we didn't actually hire him, or it didn't
Wow.
work out. It didn't work out. Let's put it that way. Uh, I think we may I wanna say we may have dragged our heels, and then he got hired, but, like, there was mutual interest, but then somebody snatched him up. But I bring this up because I mentioned that this photo specifically, there's a couple things I didn't even notice about this image when when we first put it up. Um, y First of all, it's hard to get Tim Wood wrong. I think, the I think it's like was like 4 for 4 on Tim Wood, not so much on Nick D. Semaine or Simone or, and then that the language down at the bottom. But that, I mentioned that this photo is like the Tim Wood version of Kyle Brandt,
Yeah.
and so one of my friends is, Scott Hansen, who does NFL Red Zone, and he actually did he did a video for us to announce our draft order this year. So Scott's he's been keeping an eye on some of the stuff that I've been doing, and he just whatever reason in his late night scrolling, he happened to see uh this little part of the podcast, and me mentioned this is like the Kyle Brandt version of he and Kyle Brandt are very good friends. They both work at NFL media. They're very good. Well, for now, Scott's a free agent, but they both work there. He mentioned this to Kyle actually. He mentioned and he had me send it to him, and he and Kyle and I didn't speak directly, but, I was told that, yeah, Kyle got a good laugh out of that, so
I can't wait to tell my friends that. That's amazing. My friends are big Red Zone fans, obviously.
I
I'm a
can't
big
even believe I
Schrager
didn't
fan.
tell you that. Yeah, it's been a crazy week, so
I can't either. I love Schrager. He just made the move to ESPN too, which is exciting. Congratulations to him.
yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird seeing him on Get Up and First Take, and I haven't seen him on McAfee yet. I'm sure he'll go on there eventually, but, um yeah, he's upgraded his suit game, I'll tell you that. Like, he's wearing, like, Stephen A level suits now, looking very sharp on all the shows, so, congrats to him for sure. Always been a huge, huge fan. Alright, so, but yeah, we appreciate the love on the AI and the noticing of the misspelling and the all anyway, so the idea of should know one cares, like, yeah, we're an hour. You had like 3 things for news and notes, and we're an hour into this already, and we've got some guests to get to. The first being, as we mentioned, if you would like to kind of intro the interview, one of our early adopters, so to speak, one of our earliest supporters.
Yes, Antonio Mancini Albano of AMA Private Dining. Super pumped to have a conversation with him about all the great things that he's doing here with his private dining business and all the different relationships that he's built in the community. So this is the first of many conversations that we're going to have with Antonio. And I'm grateful for him reaching out to me last summer. And, I'm super pumped about what we've been able to do so far and what we got planned for the future.
Some really cool things coming up immediately for him with a panzerotti order that we talked about on last week's show. Some really cool things coming up on the future. Let's bring in Antonio Mancini Albano from AMA Private Dining here on the Indulgent Islander. Another great guest this week on the Indulgent Islander, Nick. Very special one this week.
Yeah, this one it's been a hard one to nail down. He is a
The
busy,
white
busy
whale.
guy. Yes, I'm pumped.
You want to introduce him?
Yes, sir. So it's our great pleasure to introduce to everyone one of the treasured sponsors of the Indulgent Islander podcast. We have Antonio Mancini Albano from AMA Private Dining joining us today on the podcast.
What's up, guys? Good to see you. Good to see you both. Tim,
Good to see you.
Face, man. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure.
Absolutely. Appreciate you getting on.
You got it. My pleasure.
So for those of you who don't know the background, Antonio and I connected quite a few months ago, I would say. Probably, I don't know, maybe late summer, early fall, somewhere in that range.
Yep.
It's probably fair. But summer, definitely, I think it was definitely by summertime. And so he reached out to me just from noticing the social media content, and essentially was building his private dining business, in-home private dining, in addition to some other things that we're going to talk about. So we connected. We met a couple of times and discussed, how we could collaborate on certain things to help each other out, to help each other grow. A couple of the highlights along the way have been the pop-up, the special collaboration with School Pizza, where we had the incredible sweet Italian sausage with the pickled banana peppers, and the AMA Private Dining proprietary spicy ranch, which I thoroughly enjoyed over there at Side Hustle Brewing. Then you were kind enough to get me involved in the Spring Fling, the local serving locals dinner at May River Manor, which was just an incredible experience with a number of local purveyors that we will mention in the next few minutes. And then most recently, we have the panzanella drop coming up this weekend, the weekend before Easter, which you'll tell us more about that stuff. So it's been a lot of fun, so far. And we wanted to have you on just to talk about these couple of things that we've been doing and what you have planned this weekend with the panzerottis, and we'll take it from there.
Thanks, guys. You said panzanella. I just laughed because
so Did far, I say panzanella?
Not one person has pronounced it right, but that's my fault for not getting on that.
Did I say panzanella?
You said panzanella, then you said panzerotti.
Panzerotti,
I corrected
everything.
I read it.
I've heard everything. Panzerotti to panzotti. So the pronunciation's panzerotti, but I can't expect everybody to have
I can't roll the R that way. Sorry.
I'm kind of having fun with it and just taking them as they come and letting everybody call it what they will. But it's been a wild ride so far, guys. Nick was, I think, one of the first connections I made when I moved down here, which was last June. And I found Nick and I reached out to him because, like I had mentioned, or as he mentioned in a previous episode, I didn't really see anybody else who was covering the food scene in Bluffton specifically and on the island, and walking myself right into it. I thought that was awesome. And, I'd love to see him just shining a light on everybody that was in the restaurant and in the food world here. So I reached out, we hung out a couple times, we hit it off, and here we are. So been a wild ride on my end as well. Made a lot of connections, built a lot of relationships. I was a little worried moving the business from the New York area, which, it's New York. You don't have to say that much else about it. I've had Long Island, I had Jersey, I was in the Poconos every so often as well. I was going down to Philly, Princeton, Hamptons, Manhattan, upstate New York, where I went to culinary school and have a ton of connections still as well. But I was the last member of my family remaining up there. And for every other reason that everyone wants to get out of the Northeast, I had to just pack up and move. So I was nervous about bringing the business down here, but I've been very pleasantly surprised to find out lots of people are into having private dinner parties. I'm in Savannah, I'm on the island, I'm in Beaufort. Lots of stuff going on here in Bluffton. And so, yeah, Bluffton is just, up and coming right now. Everyone's moving here. People are trying to start stuff. So it's been pretty easy to make good connections and to get this thing off the ground. And yeah, it just caught fire, and I'm just riding the wave. It's been fun.
What made you say Bluffton is the spot for you?
Family, but family was 90% of it. So I had a little battle with my wife because I really love the island, and she actually loved Beaufort, and I love Beaufort too. But
It's tough. It's
it's tough,
tough.
man. I
They
mean, we even
all
like
three spots have their appeal, right?
Savannah's good too.
Yeah.
She actually works at SCAD, so that could have made sense. But I think we were trying to escape the city, urban life, and Savannah was a little too close to that. The island was just a little so I would say ultimately what I love about Bluffton is its centrality. And so I love the fact that we're in touching distance to all three of those other locations. And especially for my business, that works out because we've got Savannah 20 minutes south, we've got the island 25 minutes to the east, and then Beaufort 25 minutes north. So I think that's what I love about Bluffton, is that just central to everything. Family was a big choice. And then just the vibe here, you can just sense that something special is happening. A lot of people, there's so much building going on. Everything's new, everything's different and fresh and fun and exciting. And we kind of wanted to be a part of that,
Absolutely.
We've been talking a lot about how the restaurant scene has been growing, and it's a category that a lot of people might not think about is, in-home chefs and meal prep and things like that. I mean, I know you and I have talked about this quite a bit. I don't think that you ever could have anticipated how quickly things were going to get. And what I love is that you're not shy about, like, you spent an entire weekend over in Savannah during St. Patrick's Day weekend. Like, you're not, and I agree with that. That's how I used to like when I was in the metro area, living in North Jersey. I could get to New York City, I could get to PA, I could get to New York State, all equidistant from each other. And even my office at my old company, same type of thing. I could get anywhere I needed to within a half hour, 45 minutes. So you're aggressive in terms of your scheduling. We joked about it at the top about how, maxed out you are in terms of, you and I try to get together and it's like, I have this day and this day and, like, jammed up. But you also is because you make time for your family and those things that are priorities as well. But could you ever have imagined that you would be literally like 0 to 60 in, such a short period of time?
No, I couldn't have. I think
Maybe
I have
60 is an understatement.
yeah, I have the Don Ryan Center to credit for a lot of that. I just did an interview about how much they've helped me, and having them as a resource has been phenomenal. And the connections I've made. So Jen Harsta of Hardy Greens, one of my best friends and partners in the area, and Cassandra Schultz of Cassandra's Kitchen, Nick, both you guys now. So, and then already having known people, my aunt is a hot shot in the catering world. She used to run the show for Signature Catering at Surge, and so she kind of helped me get this off the ground as well. And so, business is it takes a network, right? And I'm really blessed and lucky to have landed on just a phenomenal network of people that I really appreciate even outside of business. And so I think that's just helped me get things moving quicker than it would have taken otherwise.
What are you most excited for coming up in the near future?
The panzerotti for sure, because it's something that I think no one or very few. Tim, I heard in the last episode that you've been out to Italy, so you've had a couple, and I'm sure there's another handful of folks who've tried them. But I'm most excited for that. So this first drop was very limited and special and small. So they're gonna get out to, I'll say there's maybe like 30 people on that pre-order list. So I'm just most excited to share that something so deeply personal with some locals down here, and something that's so drastically different to anything else that's out there, and just genuinely curious to see the reaction there. And yeah, that's the cool part about my business and not running a restaurant, which we can get into as a sidebar. But I get to do whatever I want and really have fun with this. So throwing a little pop-up and trying to fund street food from Southern Italy that's
And
dear to my family is
and control your overhead, That's I mean, and be able to
yeah.
do all these cool things at the same time. That's pretty special.
Yeah, it's fun. I did the restaurant thing for as long as I could. You know the story if you've been following me. I worked in fine dining in Manhattan. My first apprenticeship was with April Bloomfield at the Spotted Pig. So she was a real big name. That was one of the longest standing Michelin stars in New York City for almost like, I think, 18 years before they closed down. And so I worked for free for her for a little over a year. And then from there, I went to the Nomad Hotel, which was a sister restaurant of 11 Madison Park in Daniel Home. And so, yeah, that grind was 6 days a week. You're going in at 10:30 in the morning. You're getting out at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you literally have time to come home, sharpen your knives, take a shower, pass out for 6 hours, and do it all over again. That was my life. So I did that for about as long as I really could.
Yeah, I was in the same boat. Not in the restaurant world, but just try working that New York City grind, and
Mhm.
like you said, just mine was in the magazine and the newspaper, and
Yeah.
working for the Yankees, but it was 100
Yankee?
hour work weeks. Yeah, I worked for the Yankees from 96 to 98. So
Nice.
I was the publications director.
Go
And I got a
Yankees.
World Series ring out of it, but I mean, the 100 hour work weeks and it's yeah, I needed the off ramp. I needed more of a work life balance. So I
Right.
feel you, man.
Yeah. You got a World Series ring? That's pretty awesome.
My father-in-law has it at the
That's on
moment,
the shirt.
but yeah.
I only got a photograph with me holding the Eastern Conference championship trophy from my Nets run. So Tim's got me beat there. Listen, we know we got to get you out of here, but before we do, I just want to kind of wrap it up and bring it full circle with this. So one of the things that immediately endeared me to you was your openness, your willing to, I mean, you were very complimentary, and that's been a very big inspiration for me, which I'm sure you're well aware of, over the last several months specifically, with the encouragement and the support and the advice that you've given me. But what is truly inspirational, and I think a lot of people can learn from this. Your background speaks for itself with everything that you've done with Michelin star restaurants and working in that type of business, and now you're bringing this to in a completely different way, with a completely different concept, and you're killing it, and have become, very well known brand very quickly. But like the business that I'm in, my main job as a mortgage loan originator, like Tim, with all the media that he does, specifically in Bluffton, there's no one that does what he does in this town or this area, in my opinion, on the level that he does it. The reason why I say this is because these are all relationship businesses, and that's how you've approached it. You've approached it by building relationships, not just with the purveyors and the vendors and so on and so forth, but with other, people like myself, content creators, and willing to collaborate with the food truck. Like, how many high-end chefs are going to say, I want to collaborate with the Detroit style pizza truck? And that's not a knock. Obviously, school pizzas are a revelation around here, but the willingness to think outside the box, to collaborate with them, the May River Manor stuff, the connections that you have with Hardy Greens and Cassandra's Kitchen, and all the great things that are going to be coming up on the horizon, that has been an inspiration to me. And so I guess if you want to leave us with this, bearing that in mind, how excited are you about what the future holds? Because I think, like you said about Bluffton, you're really just scratching the surface, and this is just the beginning.
Yeah. Very excited. I couldn't be more excited, really. The core of my business and everything that I'm doing is built around community, which is also part of the fun of it, because everyone else who's kind of jumping in and partnering up with me is helping to shape the direction that it goes. And sometimes I feel like I'm just kind of along for the ride. And sometimes I don't even know where we're headed. But yeah, that's part of the fun of it. It helps me to be creative and to really focus on people first, and to just build it on good relationships. Um, there's so much more to come. This is like you said, I barely scratched the surface. So as much as this is pretty freeform and taking its own shape, there are a lot of plans in the pipeline for some things that are soon to launch. Hopefully, I'll be back on here soon to announce some of those things.
For sure.
Pretty soon, actually, we're going to have some very exciting to announce. But for now, we're just kind of looking forward to the panzerotti. I have a event that's live on Instagram coming up with good friend Cassandra of Cassandra's Kitchen. We're going to talk about how to throw the perfect barbecue on April.
Oh, nice.
Yep, 28th. Be able to tune in on that.
April 28th?
Yes.
Nice. Okay.
Yep, end of the month. You'll see lots of posts about it. We're also have a collab coming that I'm real excited about with Marchand Mill, which is one of my favorite purveyors. I haven't done anything with them yet. They make all the heirloom like grains and Carolina gold rice, and so yeah, that they're the mill that's really out in the forefront of all the low country grains and grits and things. And yeah, other than that, we are just keeping the private dining thing going. We're booked up for a while, so it's kind of hard to get in for that. But as sort of a plan B, there's catering drop-offs that are still available for the foreseeable few months. And excitingly, we are opening the door for one more family to jump onto the meal prep program. We have a couple families right now working with in Bluffton, Palmetto Bluff, and some of the other communities. So yeah, we've been lucky enough to scale up, get help, get some larger commercial space. So we'll have the capacity to take on one more family for meal prep as well. Open for classes. Full scope of services can find it on my website.
That's so cool. I mean, you talk about scratching the surface. I think you've put a pretty deep gash in the surface at this point. I mean, in terms of just the like Nick said, what you've done. When I talk about, I do a lot of small business marketing consulting, and when I tell people specifically with this market in general, but specifically with this market, you have to ingrain yourself in the community, and it has to be genuine. It has to be authentic.
Right.
And I have seen nobody better in the last couple years than what you've done, and the way that the way that you have picked the relationships from Don Ryan right on through everyone that you've mentioned, Nick's mentioned. It's
Thank you.
really been impressive to see, and I am so
So
thankful, and we both are, that you jumped on as a sponsor, because we were just talking about this yesterday. Like, it's one thing to have sponsors, but it's another thing to have partnerships.
hmm
And, you know, the only way that we're authentic with it in terms of just, versus just money grabs and taking everybody's money to promote anything. The only
yeah,
way we're authentic with it is if we believe in the sponsors and the partners that we have on. And so, like, you coming on right out of the gate just totally sets the tone for that. So I can't thank you enough. Did you get in on the order, Nick?
I sure did. Yeah.
All
So
right, I
I'm
got
going
to
to be,
come
I
to
think
your
I'm
house,
getting a
dude,
little,
because I was gonna, I
I knew it
I
was.
saw the April 10th deadline, and then I just went on to grab some stuff for the interview, and I saw it sold out, sold out. I'm like, no. All right, I'll go to Nick's
I think
though.
we can. I
Tim.
think we can rectify that, Tim. Don't worry. We'll talk
Yes.
about that offline. I just want to wrap it up just by saying the thing that really I loved about what Antonio said is, like I said, he's booked out for months. He's got all these great events coming up, but at the same time, he expressed what I think a lot about with my endeavor, which is I don't know what direction it's like. There's and that's the fun of it, is of the entrepreneurial spirit, of the passion that Tim frequently talks about. Even as much as you have planned and booked out, you're still like, you have that hopefulness and that excitement, because it's just like every time you and I sit down and have a conversation, we have a couple of ideas that splinter off of that just from brainstorming. And I love that sort of dynamic aspect of it, where even though you have your next several months laid out, you're still ready and amped up for the wild cards that are going to come along the way, that's going to point you in directions that you never could have imagined. That's what excites me about you and your business.
You got to plan forward, but you can't plan too far ahead and too much, because things are always going to take
Got to be agile.
turns,
That's
right?
it. Nimble.
Got to be nimble. Got to be quick.
Antonio, huge thank you for joining us. It's
Thanks, guys.
Instagram. It's AMA Private Dining.
Yes.
amaprivatedining.com. We'll put up actually, I'll put it up right now while we have you. We'll put up, the ad. Book Antonio now at amaprivatedining.com. Top rated personal chef services, serving Beaufort County, Savannah, Charleston, and the surrounding area. Antonio Mancini, Albano Private Chef Services. There you go, sir.
So just want to throw out there, private dinners, really no availability until July, August, but soon we're going to open the doors, and we're going to make an announcement in the coming weeks for late summer, early fall bookings. Okay. But other than that, like I said, catering, we have availability in the next few months. So, hopefully the best catering that you've had, something different than traditional caterers out there, and then cooking classes, opening up the doors for meal prep as well, and lots of other fun stuff in the works.
Yeah, we're going to tie you down, whether you like it or not. We're going to carve out a couple of minutes over the next couple of weeks. Maybe we'll even have a little short segment that we'll sprinkle in, weekly or every couple of weeks to update everybody on the stuff that you have coming out. Like you said, the stuff that you couldn't talk about yet, but you're going to be ready to have soon. Even if we just do a quick 5-minute hit, so that you can share with our audience the events and things that you have coming up that you want them to be in the loop on.
And we want to get in the kitchen with you too. Nick and I have been
Let's
talking a lot about that too, where we can do a in the kitchen segment. Just you showing off some of your favorite tips, and not trade secrets, but yeah.
Maybe we'll make
Tim just dropped a little season 2 Easter egg. Sorry, go ahead.
Some live panzerotti.
Yeah.
And
ooh,
you can come to my kitchen, and we'll maybe make one and taste them live. How about that?
Excellent. The monkeys have
Yes.
the peanut butter. Excellent.
Sounds like a plan.
All
All right,
right.
let's get you out of here, bud.
You gave us more
Thank you.
time. Apologize for the tech difficulties out of the gate, but you're a trooper, and really, again, hugely appreciate you.
Appreciate you both. Thanks again for having me, boys.
Hit me back when you want to reschedule our get together. I'm around all week, so whenever you want to do it.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, bro.
We'll get this panzerotti in hand. Don't worry.
Nice.
All right, cool.
All right, I'm gonna drop.
Thanks, bro.
Thanks, Antonio.
Peace.
Thank you.
So there you have it. Antonio Mancini Albano in the flesh, Nick.
Yes. We have to be patient with Antonio as much as he wants to support the podcast and wants to contribute. I mean, I haven't seen it with my eyes, but just from the things that I've heard about what kind of schedule he keeps, I mean, he literally has to buy the 5, 10, 15-minute increment, budget out his day. And, factored into that is, Tim, you're a parent with all your coaching and sports and everything like that. The school drop off in the morning, the school pickup, carving out time to plan like you and I do for the podcast, like you do for your other media endeavors, like I do for my mortgage business. And it's just, that's what's impressive about it. And you can bring in people that can assist you with certain things. But at the end of the day, when you're a chef and it's your work, you're not just budgeting for part of his week is, I got to go to the farmer's market on Thursday and see what I'm working with this week.
Yeah.
Or I might just go there for inspiration, just like we all do at the grocery store or the farmer's market. What are we going to cook? But he's doing it on an exponential level because, he's not doing, hundreds of things, but like hundreds of guests, but like, small to mid-sized to large parties. It's a tremendous amount of work, and balancing that with family obligations. And when you have several arms of your business, like not just the in-home events,
Yeah.
but the catering and the pop-ups and the meal prep.
Meal prep. Yeah.
It's really impressive the way that he's able to balance all this stuff. And again, I know I keep beating the drum on this, but just the fact that he's come into a new area like this, yes, for family reasons, but like you said, approach it the right way with the right people, and has ramped up his business in such a short period of time. It's incredible. It's a testament to him.
You introduced me to him, but the more that I got to know what he was doing and saw everything he was doing and the way he was doing it and who he was doing it with, like I said, I mean, it's really, I can see why the Don Ryan Center would want to work with him, that would hold him up as a example client, because that is the way that you come into the area. That is the way that you endear yourself to the community, and you take away that stigma immediately of Yankee coming to the South. Like, he has completely ingrained himself into the community with zero, like you said, with zero ego, just an undying work ethic.
Yes.
Yeah.
And like you said during the interview, to have a relationship like that, like how lucky are we to have someone that's not only a sponsor of the program, but like you said, a true partnership. Like, it's not just, I want to get my advertisement in for my business, and like, he doesn't need us to book events and so on and so forth, but he believes in what we're doing, and he wants to collaborate with all these other businesses and all these other proprietors and owners and things like that. And it's driven by, being a part of that community. And on a micro level here, being a part of this family that we're creating here on the podcast, with people like Antonio and Anthony, who's, again, as equally as passionate about this endeavor. And of course, Scott, who, when we sat down to have this conversation,
Yeah.
I mean, just the way that his face lit up because of how he blend. I'm not trying to, to stroke us here. It's not a self promotion thing. It's just I feel privileged to have the opportunity to partner with people like this that want to be part of something and really believe that the sky is the limit for what the future holds for this whole scene here.
To see what you wanted to do with this and what I thought I could bring to the table with it, to see that and hit with the audience, but also hit with the community that you are so passionate and I am so passionate about advocating for. To see it hit, that is it's really it's humbling, it's rewarding, and it makes this not work, honestly. Like this is fun.
I couldn't have said it any better myself. This couple of hours every week, that I know some have been longer than others, but this appointment every week is the highlight of my week, and it's bringing an energy into my life, a positive, encouraging energy, and to be able to direct that towards these small businesses, the restaurant owners, the private chefs, the food trucks, the tap room owners, is just like I said, it's an honor and a privilege, and that's what gets me the most, you know, e- excited. Is we're literally 12 episodes into this, into our first season of what will hopefully be many, and to have that feeling now with all of the things that are ahead of us and all of the things that we've talked about amongst ourselves and with partners like Antonio and Anthony and Scott. And I'm sure we're going to be adding more partners. I've been having conversations on a regular basis about other people that want to be a part of it. We are building a true community within our wonderful community. And I would not have been able to get there or to get on that path without you. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful for Antonio, and a lot of really cool stuff coming down the pike. I can't wait.
Can't wait. Can't wait. All right, on to the next topic here. So uh that was the white whale we were trying to catch, and so happy that Antonio was able to spend some time with us here on the podcast, and you get to see in person uh, the passion. You guys, as viewers and listeners, you get to hear and see the passion that Nick's seen from pretty much day one of meeting this culinary visionary.
He brings a very unique perspective. I love his energy. And for someone that's busier than a one legged man in a butt kicking contest, what he's been able to accomplish in the first, 8 or 9 months or so that he's been here, we're grateful that he took the time. And we're going to continue, like we said, to continue to keep in touch with him about things that he has coming up. I'm thankful for the connections that he's made for me, and for all of the we have our little sessions where we brainstorm and things like that. And I know I keep repeating myself. I'm just really thrilled about what's coming down the road for us, and for Antonio, as well as a partner and sponsor of the program.
So many cool collaborations. We're thrilled to be collaborating with him, but I just, like I said in the interview, um he's so impressive in the way that he has just dove right into the community and has had the Midas touch, quite honestly, in terms of the collaborations that he's done. It's everything has really been a perfect fit for been a win-win for both sides, and really excited to see what's next for him. So we go from one interview to the next. You know, we're excited to bring the voices of the community, the voices of the food industry onto the show. Like um we're fanboys. I think that's so. Like, but these are the rock stars, right?
there's going to be more and more of this stuff. We want to give them a voice, like I said before, just like you've given me a voice, and just like we have a voice, we want to give them a voice. And you know, we say that we're spotlighting restaurants and all the wonderful people in this local food and beverage industry. So, what better than to hear it directly from them? We've had people approach us. We've approached certain people. Obviously, they're very busy. We got Marshall coming up. I said, "How's noon tomorrow?" He said, "As long as everything's going smooth at the restaurant." So, we got to operate on the fly sometimes. Sometimes the conditions are not ideal in terms of audio and video, but as always, we want to get the content out there. And I'm really enjoying this stuff. We're having some great conversations, and I think there's a lot more voices that we're going to be hearing and a lot more smiling faces that we're going to be seeing over the next several months.
So things worked out on the fly for us, and we're excited to bring onto the show in this week, this 2 week period that we've been talking Asian and now sushi this week. Uh, Excited to welcome to the show Marshall Sampson, the owner of Kung Fu Cantina, to talk about the um the idea of Asian Latin fusion, and just all of the cool things they got going on over there in Moss Creek, and the latest chapter in their culinary journey here in the Low Country. So let's bring on Marshall Sampson, owner of Kung Fu Cantina here on the Indulgent Islander. All right, we've got another guest this week. Nick, you want to introduce them to the audience?
We're starting to really pick up steam with the guests. This is great. So, talking about sushi and Japanese, I wanted to invite on Marshall Sampson, who's the owner of Kung Fu Cantina, which has been one of our newer additions to the Bluffton restaurant scene. It's a Latin, Asian Latin, however you want to say, fusion. And pretty much since the first time that I went there for lunch several months ago, I was immediately attracted to the creative stuff that they had on their menu, and have really enjoyed most recently over the last couple of months a lot of their sushi dishes. So we wanted to have Marshall on to talk about how this came about, and a bunch of other things that are very exciting for Kung Fu Cantina over there in the Moss Creek Shopping Center.
Very cool. Let's bring him in. Marshall, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Very good. Thrilled to have you, as Nick was saying. You've been an exciting addition. I mean, we know you from so many of your innovations before. Um, I loved Pizza Co, but I understand you got to spread your wings, and exciting new concept.
Yes, we're very excited about it. It's gone really well so far. But we loved Pizza Co, Santa Fe. We love everything we've done so far has been a lot of fun and a lot of new challenges. So it's been just a nice little ride we've been on the last couple of years.
Yeah, I wasn't trying to give Santa Fe short shaft. I just had Pizza Co on my mind when I said that. So yeah, obviously Santa Fe Cafe. We love that as well. So
Universally beloved over there on the island. How did this concept for, I mean, we start to see a lot of this over the last however many years, a lot of these fusion sort of concepts pop up. How was this specific idea born, and what made you guys decide to bring this element to, that location that was formerly occupied by Mama G's, that beautiful space, which you guys have transformed. I mean, it was gorgeous to begin with, but you've really made it your own. How did all of this come about? Excuse me.
Sure. It's a kind of a strange story, but believe it or not, our credit card processor, Jeff Main of Proudly, just kind of put it in my ear that Mama G's was going out of business and there's probably a pretty good deal to be had there. And at the time, I think it was 2 summers ago, and I just said, I don't know if I really want to delve into. We just opened the bank and we had a lot of stuff going on where I was like, Jeff, I don't think that's a thing I can do right now. And just kept on kind of nudging and kind of saying, I just think you should take a look at it. And I'd never been in Mama G's before. So I went and took a look at it, and I mean, like you said, it's a beautiful restaurant. They did an amazing job with the finishes and everything in there. So it was kind of we have to do something here. Once I stepped foot in the restaurant, we had no idea what we wanted to do, but we knew we liked the area, we liked the space, and we just kind of put an offer in that we kind of almost didn't think we were going to get. And then they said congratulations. So we're like, oh, now we gotta figure something out here.
You, you
And
you made an offer.
obviously,
You made an offer. You were hoping they would refuse.
kind of, we were kind of like, just to put that there, and like, and then we were very much surprised when they said, you got it. So we're like, all right. So Bill and I put our heads down. Obviously, we have Santa Fe, so we've had that background going to us, and we didn't, we threaded around or tossed around doing a Santa Fe out in Bluffton, but it's just Santa Fe is so unique, and it's kind of hard to create. I think it'd be hard to create that again, so we just kind of wanted to shy away from something doing identical. But we did want to bring some influence out there from Santa Fe, and then we also looked in the area, and while there's a lot of great choices in downtown Bluffton and on Hilton Head with regard to sushi and Asian cuisine, the area right there is kind of it's just kind of missed a little bit. So our first menu run was kind of like having a Latin and an Asian just kind of together and just kind of two separate menus almost, because we'd gone to Charleston a couple times to do some research and we saw a couple restaurants that were like that, and so we started there, and then I have to say it, bottle of tequila at an RV campground with me, Bill and I, and we started messing around with mixing stuff together. And all of a sudden we were like, you know what? I think we could do a whole menu of just fusion items. And, the next day we looked at it and it still looked right, because sometimes those ideas can seem great at the time. And then you look and you're like, what was I talking about? And then, but they were, it was a lot of fun. And then we just kind of started getting in the kitchen and messing with it. And we're like, I think we can do this. So we just put our heads down and just kind of came up with the menu, and then we're very surprised at how well all these they have a lot of common ingredients, and how well they go together was just a lot of fun.
I guess we're part of a select group. I thought I was probably one of one, but some of my best ideas have come with tequila in an RV. So,
Yeah,
that's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, I'd
So,
say that's our think tank. Is what we've got a couple of spaces that we own on the island that we just keep our RVs at, and that's where we go, and that's our creative outlet right there.
Compress. Create, decompress, all the above, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I want to get in on one of these brainstorming sessions. It sounds fun.
Hey, by all means, the more the
Fire
merrier. We
pit, some tequila, absolutely.
I love it.
exactly. Yeah.
So I had not noticed this section of the website before. Obviously, I was very familiar, guys, from the very beginning, but I just pulled this up. You got a brief description. It says, "Where flavor packs a punch. Experience the vibrant fusion of East and West at Kung Fu Cantina, where the bold, fiery flavors of Latin America meet the delicate, umami-rich traditions of Asia. Our innovative cuisine blends the best of both worlds, creating a unique dining journey that delights the senses and celebrates the art of culinary fusion." I wanted to read that out loud because what I was going to say was, from the very first time that I stepped in the restaurant, like that description, it encapsulates the menu and the dishes that you guys are offering. But when you have things where it says fiery flavors and delighting the senses, to me, that's the visual experience and the environment and the atmosphere that you've created as well. And that's why I said like transformed, because like you said, it was a beautifully outfitted restaurant, right? The bar is spectacular. The leather, the different types of seating between the bar and the high tops and the booths and everything like that. But now you have these beautiful bright murals on the walls, and the dishes are just like it's really honestly the Santa Fe sort of inspiration, not the topic obviously, but like the same sort of thing. Everyone universally talks about the painted desert soup and some of the other dishes and the way that you guys present your plates. This is
The
to me
vibrancy.
what's that?
The vibrancy of it.
Exactly. These vibrant, beautiful, bright colors, whether it's the environment that you're sitting in or what you're taking in. And of course, the flavors, they're right in line with that. I mean, it's really. I think the first time that I went, I did the carne asada egg roll. I think my wife got the bulgogi fried rice. I'm a huge fan of Asian food to begin with. We just did the whole episode last week on Chinese and other Asian food, and like I said, I wanted to spotlight you guys in this particular episode. I mean, obviously, we could have put you into. We did an episode on Mexican and that type of food in Southwestern, where we talked about Santa Fe. Even though this is a completely separate category, how have you guys applied the same principles that have made Santa Fe Cafe such a popular destination for locals and tourists alike? And how have you applied that to this new concept to bring in, like I said, not just the locals, but the people that happen to be visiting here when they're on vacation?
Sure. Well, like you said, well, the first thing that you're exactly correct. And what I wanted to say is, from Santa Fe, we've always known people eat with their eyes first. So everything that's on the plate has to be appealing. Everything that your surroundings have to be great. Everybody, there's a lot of great cooks that can cook at home. You have to give them a reason to go out and experience something that's new, different, and comfortable, and just kind of takes you to a different place other than right when you walk in those doors in Santa Fe, you're transformed into like you're in an adobe walled, just kind of nice cozy atmosphere. Out here at Kung Fu, we wanted to do the same thing. We wanted to do, it's kind of a little bit of the opposite. We wanted to kind of go big and bold and just kind of just have this nice, very cozy, bright, warm, comfortable area for you to sit in. Then when the dishes come out, you can see that we put a lot of time and effort into how they look, but not only how they taste, but a lot of how they look as well, because we do feel that's very important. And it serves two purposes. We love when people take a picture of our food because that means they're going to send it to somebody. Painted Desert Soup is the best advertising we do at Santa Fe because everyone takes a picture and posts it. So it saves
Whoa.
us a lot of
Yeah.
money.
Yeah.
Same thing with Kung Fu. There's a lot of dishes there that a lot of people take pictures of and they share them, and that's how we want to grow. Honestly, we want other people to say how good it is, and then them tell their friends. And we focus on locals. I mean, we've done it from Santa Fe from day one. Locals tell people where to go. So when visitors come, they'll find the places to go. If you have made all this local, I mean, I grew up here. That's what we focus on, and I always tell people the summer's the summer. It's always going to be the summer, but the off season's where you make or break it, and that's really focusing on what everybody that lives here wants to see and what they want to feel comfortable coming once or twice a week too. And that's where we kind of put all our eggs in that basket.
We're gonna talk more in Nick's list in terms of specific dishes, but I just wanted to shout out the burrito buns, the burrito bao buns.
The bao buns.
Those, oh my goodness, those were amazing. I loved just the idea of Mexican street corn in a cup, so I tried that, and the edamame was amazing. The poblano soup was. I mean, it's just yeah. Uh, I Nick is, infamous now for, like, literally trying the entire menu and or
He knows. He knows.
I have not gotten fully around the menu yet, but I wanted to shout out those, and thank you very much for those.
Absolutely. Well, we just made it harder for Nick and you because we just expanded the menu as well. So
Now I got to come back.
we just went to a different menu. A lot of feedback we've received is a lot of people have hesitation just to come and try us because there's not something kind of familiar. They just don't quite get it a little bit. So what we've done is we've taken our Latin side and just made it strictly Latin, just coming from our Santa Fe background. We've got an Asian side that Jasper, who is our sushi chef, that he brought to us, and then we've got our tequila and our tequila made fusion that's in the middle. So that's all our ideas that we came on the campground are in the fusion idea that Jasper and Justin, our two head chefs back there, have done a phenomenal job with. But so now there's something, if you don't want to kind of go too crazy, you can go and just try your quesadillas, your tacos. We have fish tacos now that are similar to Santa Fe. We've kind of brought, and you mentioned the poblano soup. I do have to mention we are changing the poblano soup a little bit in the next menu change. It's going to be, we've now started to kind of throw stuff back and forth with Santa Fe and Kung Fu. So Santa Fe was like, wow, you have good birria. So we're like, hey, we'll give you the birria if you give us the corn soup. So we're now starting to trade stuff back and forth where you can find a little bit of Kung Fu at Santa Fe and a little bit of Santa Fe at Kung Fu. And it seems to be, people seem to be really receptive to it as well. And we're going to start to slowly do that more and more.
Very cool.
Yeah. Do you think that, are you going to, is it going to be the same sort of like appearance, or are you going to have a different design as far as when you creating that one for Kung Fu?
No, we'll have a different design. That's kind of, there are certain things at Santa Fe that are strictly Santa Fe and certain that are strictly Kung Fu. So we'll keep those a little separate, but you're going to see a lot of similar flavor profiles, if you will.
Okay, cool. So I wanted to just call back real quick to something that I love that you said. Tim and I talk a lot about the community, right? Especially out here in Bluffton. We love the fact that Hilton Head's a tourist destination. That's what supports our economy more than anything else. But I love the
Absolutely.
focus on, we want to be a place where people are going to go year round. And that's part of my mission with Indulgent Islander. That's part of our mission, Tim and I, with the podcast, is year-round support. We want to see the restaurants not just surviving through the lean months, but thriving from the beginning of the year to the end. That's the perfect bridge, and you mentioned him by name, which is perfect, the perfect segue to talk about, you mentioned Jasper, right?
Yes.
So part of this getting people to be coming in throughout the year, what you guys have done, and I love it when local restaurants do this. We've talked about a number of them on the podcast over this whole first season. I love when restaurant owners create ideas and are creative with ways of getting people in the door. So I want to come back to menu and specials and things like that in a moment. But before that, I shared several weeks ago when I was fortunate enough to receive an invitation from you guys to come where we were going to be trying out this new sushi class. And I had a blast. My wife had a blast. My buddy Chris Gomez from Coast, broker by EXP Realty, him and his wife were there as well. And the four of us and the other two couples, we had an absolute blast. Jasper showed us how to make a hand roll, a maki roll, and the fudamaki, I guess, with the seaweed on the outside, right? And we got to enjoy those three rolls. We got to enjoy cocktails, that's a separate from that package. Tell us about how you guys came up with this idea for the sushi class, and how has that been going since you're doing it the first Saturday of every month, and I think are we a month or so or month or two into it at this point?
So yeah, we just had another one this past
Okay.
Saturday. It was our largest class actually. I had to cap it at 15. We had still people trying to get in, and we had so many this last one. I actually made an extra class the Wednesday before that where we had 11 people because I just had so
That's
many people that
awesome.
wanted to do it. And I asked
Wow.
Jasper if he could do it, and he was just like, "Yeah, bring it." He's very personable. He loves being in front of people. He loves what he does, so it's very easy for him to kind of do it. So we're rolling really strong with it. I think we're going to actually make it more than once a month at this point because there's just been so much demand for it, and then people have had a lot of fun with it. Like this last one we did, we had a family of 5 there. They had 3 kids and the parents, and then we had 3 lovely ladies that came to us. They just kind of heard about it and called me halfway through the week and was like, "We'd love to do it." I'm like, "All right, we'll figure it out." And Jasper sets up, you're right in front of him. We give you all your mats, everything you need to do. And then the nice thing about it is once you leave with a care package that's got your sushi mats, it's got your ingredients and your instructions on how to make sushi rice. It's got your ingredients to actually make the sushi rice. So you leave there with hopefully knowing how you can do this at home, which has been a lot of fun for everybody. But everybody has a blast. We have a bartender there, and then we do it 1 to 3 o'clock, and everybody has a fun lunch and just kind of has a blast with it. But it's been great.
Very cool.
Jasper was awesome. Jasper was great. I love the little care package. I love that. Just one of the things that I love is the little sort of like mascot character. Like you have the soy sauce, little ceramic things on the table with the cat and with the spout coming out of the top of the little figurine. All little stuff like that, like the little touches to be able to walk away with a care package like that with the branded items in addition to the stuff that'll get you going. I thought that was a great idea. Tell us also, you had mentioned there was some changes in the menu, but what you guys are really pushing right now, and what I've been attracted to, and a lot of people have, is these lunch specials that you're doing.
Oh, sure. So we every day we do a lunch box special. It's a bento box. It's $15, and you get your choice of there's 5 different items on it. You get soup, salad, your choice of the salsa with wontons and salsa, and it's just a nice little. If you want to just try a little bit of everything, you can kind of pick and choose. You get your soups, you get your salad, you get your entrees, and it's all done very quickly because I know a lot of people are on their lunch break, so we're just kind of focusing on the business lunches and everything like that, just so people can kind of come have a nice lunch and then go off to back to work or wherever they're going. But it's been very good for us, and I just wanted to put that out there. We've done it for about a month or two now, and seems to be really well received.
That's
But it's
great.
got everything from your burrito quesadilla that you liked. It's got your caraga, which is Japanese fried chicken. You can do a half a sushi roll with it. You can do what else do we have? Oh, the Mexican street corn fried rice, so with your protein and everything like that, and then your salad dressings, your miso soup, your poblano soup, which is about to change to the corn soup. But yeah, it's a lot of different options you can have, so you get a little bit of everything.
That
That's
karage's on my radar. That chicken
It is.
karage. We were there for the sushi class, and the kitchen doesn't open till 3 o'clock. So, but I'm
Yeah.
looking over at it because they got the couple of highlights next to there on the board. And you know me, Tim, I get sucked in. I'm like, I gotta get back there for lunch soon so that I can enjoy. I want to have a couple more of the rolls too. I, for one, that the Mexicali roll with the, whereas you would traditionally get like a sprinkle of like a tempura, it's got that sort of crushed up like corn chip
Yep.
topping on it. It's really, really nice. Yeah, the lunch special I think is great, and these, like I said, these concepts to keep people coming in throughout the week, between the sushi class and the lunch specials, I think these are great ideas, and we're excited to see what you guys can continue to come up with down the line, as we go further into spring, and of course our busiest time of the year with the tourist season.
Tell us a little bit about
Absolutely.
the collaborations that you got coming up. You're collaborating with folks right there in the
Oh, sure.
plaza.
Yeah, so we've got two companies right inside of Moss Creek. We figured if we can bring attention to what's going on in there, it helps everybody. So we've aligned with the Bluffton Youth Theater, which is it's the old Gold's Gym that's right on 278 right there. But we're doing dinner and a show with them. Every show that they do, we offer a special menu for them, and then everything that they bring in for us, we donate 10% of whatever the sales are back to the theater company, so it helps them out as well. And then we also partnered
That's
with Align Pilates. And then we're doing classes with them. They're going to actually do the classes inside the restaurant, and they're going to have lunch afterwards. So we're going to move all the furniture around, just kind of a different atmosphere for them. And it's a bigger space, so they can have a couple more people too. So we're going to do our first one this weekend with that. So I'm looking forward to see how that goes.
that Saturday.
That's this Saturday. Yep.
Very cool. Very. And now, can
Yeah.
people still sign up for that?
I believe so. I don't know if they've capped it yet. I think they're at. I'd have to talk to them. It goes through their website, so they're doing all the bookings for it with Align. So if they
Okay.
wanted to kind of see if they can get on with that, it'd be the Align Studios Pilates, and then see what they can do with that. And I can talk to them if they're scared of the number. We can accommodate a lot of people over there, so it should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and their website is alignpilateshhi.com. So you can check out the class there. That's very cool. And listen, I have been a huge promoter and trying to do fundraising for Bluffton Youth Theater. They're trying to finish the space,
Yes, it's a
the
big space,
construction on the space. It's a beautiful space, but they've still
gorgeous.
got, they hit some construction snags, and they still got some work to do. So I mean, I saw that Serge had done some stuff with you, that you guys doing that's just amazing. That's outstanding. And
They're
boy,
doing great work over there. So anything we can do to help them out, we're all for. It's just, yeah, I love the fact. Like, I don't, not many people know, but I'm actually a music major. I played the piano going through high school and college and everything. So I've since lost that skill, but I do understand how much it takes to kind of keep these programs going. and anything that we can do to help them out we're all for.
And for those who don't know the mission with Bluffton Youth Theater, they basically are combining quote unquote normal kids with diverse kids with special needs kids, making it one big normal in that space. And Cynthia is tireless, a visionary in what she's doing. So it's great to see two visionaries uh, connecting for the community. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Anything else that we missed that you wanted to get out there,
Well, you
Marshall?
know what? Yeah, one thing, the happy hour. We do happy hour daily from 5 to 6. And with that happy hour, we have a $5 munchie kind of menu. We also offer $2 beers, $5 wells, $5 red and white wines. So it's a very good happy hour we do over there, and it's done throughout the restaurant. So we're not leaving it just to the bar, even though the bar is, I think, a more fun place to be for happy hour. But anybody that wants to partake in that, if the bar fills up, we will accommodate them wherever they land, basically. But that's been one of our newest additions. We started a couple weeks ago that we're trying to get the word out for.
Very
You
cool.
guys have some really creative cocktails too. Very again
Yes.
going back to where we started, very colorful, vibrant, you know, fusion type of cocktails too. The bartenders are very creative, and what's coming out from behind the bar is just as visually pleasing as what's coming out of the kitchen, and equally delicious.
Drinks get the short shaft because so many of these restaurants, this being a perfect example, the food is so visually and just taste wise so brilliant that you almost kind of like, oh, and there's drinks too. But the attention that you guys put into the drinks is on equal level in terms of the creativity and the attention to detail, and it's really
No,
impressive.
we had just obviously we had a lot of fun making the cocktails as well, but Harvey and Joseph have done a phenomenal job down back there, and they're always creating, so we're always kind of tweaking and kind of having, testing and putting new stuff out there, because we, just like the chefs and the bartenders, you got to keep I like to keep them creating because that makes them happier. That's what they want to do. So we want to showcase anything they want to put out there, so we'll always have our menu kind of rotating, changing to new things, but hopefully don't lose any of the other stuff we have, but we'll just continue to add. And that's what we've done at Santa Fe as well.
You see it on the screen. Kung Fu, actually, not on that screen, but we'll put it back up. KungFuCantina.com, on Instagram at Kung underscore Fu underscore Cantina. Um,
You do this one too.
it's
Oh, there you go.
1533 Fording Island Road in the Moss Creek Village Plaza. Marshall, I'm always curious. Where do you go when you want a different taste? When you want to like cleanse your palate and get some creative inspiration? Where do you go? Where do you and the family go to eat?
Where do we go to eat? So it's going to be a very boring answer, uh, but I go home because I don't go, I'm never home. So it's one of
Yeah.
those where I'm home maybe one night a week, sometimes two, to where if I can get the family all together and we'll just kind of have fun. And like last night we cooked steaks, or Sunday we cooked steaks because we were all home. But I mean, we're normal like everybody else. When we go to, I mean, I go to Fiesta Fresh. We just went there on Saturday. Like it's and people are like, you have a Mexican? I was like, yes, I have a Mexican restaurant, but it's still good. It's got different
Yeah.
stuff. We love it.
Everybody expects you
Aquamia we
all to
love.
be like at loggerheads,
Yeah, no,
screw them. It's not how it works.
it's not how it works at all. And if you want to survive here, I mean, I'm friends with pretty much all the other business owners around here, and that's just the way this community is and should be. it's, I grew up here, so I've gotten the pleasure to know a lot of the people for many many years now. I mean, you're talking John and Kim Boyce with Mellow Mushroom. You're talking, there's just tons of people we have a good time with, and we all go around and all have a good time with each other. So it's just that's part of the fun, actually.
The home answer is not boring at all. I mean, honestly, that's the answer for most restaurateurs because, like you said, you don't get to be home.
Right.
Home is the oasis, and so so and the comfort spot. So it's we get it. Trust me.
But there's a
You got a
lot.
nice
There
thing
are, I mean,
going
like I
over
said,
there.
there's a lot of great places out there. Loving Tin and Tallow that opened up. They're doing a great job over there. Love that burger. If I'm on the island, there's always my Groovy spot. Love Groovy. So there's your old tried and trues that I just kind of Sunrise Cafe, get the same thing there. I've gotten every breakfast there for the last 20 years, I think. So yeah, there's just they have the good local feel to them, and that's where I kind of gravitate to.
We love the new places, but love that you brought up a bunch of uh classics and places that have withstood the test of time. Other
Yeah.
places have opened, they kind of get the woo woo, um, woo woo bang out of the gate, but you come back to Groovies, you come back to Sunrise, and it's like this. They get it.
Right.
They do it right every time. And I'm sure that gives you inspiration in terms of what you aspire to with what you're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. And like I said, there's awesome new places that have opened up that I haven't been to yet, or that I have been to that I didn't mention, but there's so many great opportunities out there. And I just encourage everyone to just go out and enjoy. That's really all we can ask for as business owners in this restaurant industry here is I'd love for you to go try them and us. There's a lot to go around, and there's a lot out there that's different than us. And it's just a good time to be had.
Yeah, we definitely want folks to come try you guys. That's and appreciate you coming on this sushi episode on short notice too. So we really appreciate you making some
Oh
time.
yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Absolutely.
You guys got a nice little thing going on down there at Moss Creek now, between your side of the street and the other side. We got a pretty strong group of restaurants with you guys and Olive and Fig, and then you got Hog's Head, right? And then
Yep.
across the street with Kenny B's and
Oh yeah.
Odd Birds and what's that?
Oh, I love me some odd birds. Yeah, their Roadrunner
Yeah.
sandwiches are amazing over there. Yeah, but no, I like everything that's going on in there. We're making our own little kind of restaurant community that just hasn't, hopefully we can kind of all partner together and just bring more people over the bridge and out of Bluffton. That's our biggest hurdles is the bridge and getting people out of Bluffton because it is a different spot, than
Do
most
you
people are used to
prefer
going
Hill
to.
Bluff or Bluff Head? Like, what do you prefer to be called right in that little spot?
I never put much thought of it.
Yeah.
Hill Bluff, I don't know. Bluff Head,
I know
we
that
got to come up with a good
everybody
name
thinks
for
it's
it.
Bluffton, and then the mailman thinks it's Hilton Head, so it's
Oh, I
like
know. Yeah.
yeah, whatever it is, it's dang good stuff, man. We really appreciate you coming on,
Thank you.
and
Appreciate it.
congratulations on the success with all your ventures, but specifically with Kung Fu Cantina out of the gate, and we can't wait to see what's next.
No, yeah. Thank you very much. We're enjoying the ride so far.
I'm going to be back soon for lunch. I'm going to probably, as Tim mentioned and as Marshall knows, I'll probably have a couple from the one side, a couple from the middle, a couple from the right side. I'm definitely coming for that karagi. I want to try a couple more rolls. So I'll be seeing you in the next couple of
And then
weeks, Marshall.
take 2 bags home
There you go.
because
Exactly.
Josh
So
loves
then I got
that.
another couple meals backed up. That's how we do it over here. That's how we do it. He knows.
And I want to thank you guys just for shedding light and bring light to a lot of new restaurants and just the restaurant the atmosphere that we have down here. I just want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing. I appreciate it.
Hey, we appreciate you, and you guys are what makes us want to do this because the creativity, whether we're shedding light to the tourists that are kind of looking to see what to get at when they come here, or especially the locals who want to think outside the box, but kind of get stuck into their own little routines, as we all tend to do. But
All right.
like
I'm guilty
the
of it too. I'm like, oh yeah, why didn't I go? Why couldn't I think of that place? When I like the next day, I'm like, dang it, I should have gone over there. Yeah,
yeah, right.
we're all
And
there. Yeah,
but the creative folks like yourself are pushing the envelope and really raising the bar of what the low country um foodie scene's all about. So
thank you.
We appreciate when I say we, just the general public of people that are going to come in and patronize your restaurant. We appreciate it when we are treated a certain way, and I'm appreciative of the fact that, like, since day one when I walked in the restaurant, between you and Rachel and your staff, it's not just, thanks for coming. Like, you guys have been engaging. You're available to explain if there's anything that someone doesn't particularly understand. You give us a heads up about, you might want to take a look at this, or you might want to take a look at that. It's that welcoming. It's I mean, a lot of times it's lost that it is a hospitality business. And just to bring it
Absolutely.
full circle to, you talk about the community. That's how you really ingratiate yourself to the community, because we can tell every time that we come there. My wife says every time, like, we feel like we're special when we come to your restaurant. And the food was going to keep us coming back already as it is. But that really takes it to another level when you talk about that bright, fun atmosphere, and you talk about the way that you're welcomed in, and the way that you're appreciated. You appreciate your customers. And I want to thank you for that.
I appreciate that, and I tell my servers that the same thing. You can have good food is good food. You can have a good time with good food, but you can have a memorable time if the servers are doing what they're doing. That's what we want to do, is have everybody that comes in the door, Santa Fe and Kung Fu, to have a memorable time. And that's what kind of we strive for, because that's focusing on when you walk in the door, how you're being treated with the servers and the food. So it's just kind of a whole thing.
I can't let you go either without just thanking you and Rachel for your past ongoing support. DJ's Day of Giving's very, very near and dear to my heart, and the Live Like DJ Scholarship Fund, and you guys have been amazingly supportive since pretty much day one on that. So huge thank you to you guys for that.
Absolutely. Again, it's all about community. So yeah.
Good deal. Marshall Sampson, Kung Fu Cantina. Get out and try it. Huge thank you for joining us here on the Indulgent Islander.
Thank you very much. Good to see you guys.
See you soon, man.
All righty.
That worked out well.
Oh, absolutely. Very, very fun conversation. I love hearing how these ideas are born with the collaboration and the conversation. Santa Fe, always been a big hit. Kung Fu, thus far, big hit. I love the creativity with the events and all the different things that they're doing. I love the idea of the lunch specials, and even this, working together with local businesses outside of the restaurant industry is a lot of fun too. Marshall gets it. He's like, we get the privilege of speaking with people that they care about the community, and like he said, you know, not just focusing on tourist season, but wanting this to be a place, a destination where people want to spend time and spend money and enjoy food 12 months out of the year. So very appreciative of him for taking the time. Thanks to his wife, Rachel, for hooking that up. She's super busy over at the restaurant, just like he said. He's been covering for nights over at Santa Fe during the day at Kung Fu. These work schedules, just like we talked about it with Antonio, it's a balancing act. I spoke again with George this morning. I said, how's it going? He said, just juggling, staff and schedules. People are entitled to vacation. People get sick. People have to miss work. Yeah, people sometimes going between one location and another. I give them a tremendous amount of credit, because it's not easy. And that's something that we have to keep in mind when we're patronizing these restaurants, when we're visiting with them. Just the amount of work that goes into putting this food in front of us day after day after day for some of these places that are open 6, sometimes 7 days a week.
Before we get into the list for this week, just want to quickly let you know You can find the podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts: iHeart Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, just a few of the places. If you got a favorite spot that you're not seeing the podcast, let us know. We'll work to get it up there. But feel pretty comfortable in saying you'll find us wherever you find your favorite podcast. But again, DM me, DM Nick if there's a podcast spot that you want us to get into that we're not on yet. So huge thank you to the folks that have found us through the podcast network so far, and please spread the gospel for us. All right, sir. The list for this week
Yes.
has to
So
do with sushi.
sushi and other Japanese cuisine. We're going to keep it moving this time. When you're talking about sushi, obviously there's a lot of different things on these menus of these places that we're going to talk about. I'm going to try to be as quick as possible. I'm a sashimi guy for the most part. I don't really get into too many rolls, although there are a few that I do enjoy. And I just want to focus on what something, unique that each one of these establishments bring to the table. So let's get right into it, Tim.
All right. So where do we start the list, Nick?
So I had to make a little bit of an audible on the fly because for these last couple of weeks, I had really had a certain place in mind that's not in our typical, I know we talked about earlier that we focus mostly on Bluffton and Hilton Head, but I have certain spots that I find and I don't get to visit as often as I would like to. My wife and I spend a lot of time out in Savannah, usually on like a Saturday, sometimes a Friday night, but usually over a weekend. We decided to go in a different direction this past week. We were planning on a dinner Friday. I wasn't particularly feeling too well, so we decided to do our usual patented, mid-afternoon lunch. And so this is a surprise. It's not what I originally had planned, but we're going to start off with Locals Raw Bar out on Ladies Island, right over the
Interesting.
border. Yeah, right over the bridge from Beaufort. So, quick origin story, right? I originally, way back when, this is a couple of years ago, I went out to Shellring Ale House and we were introduced to the first Monday of every month, they had the sushi dude. For those of you who are not familiar with the sushi dude, his name is Justin Patton. And I fell in love with Justin's food from the jump when he was posting up at Shellring Ale House. You can find Justin on Instagram at the sushi dude, all one word. Just tack an extra E on the end. He had a little bit of a mishap where he lost his original page, so he's trying to build back up. Go check him out at the sushi dude with 2 E's on Instagram. He also has a personal page called Bearded Child, exactly how I said it. He's a big skateboarder. You can't miss it. He's always got this crazy. He's a redhead, ginger, whatever you want to call it. He's always got some sort of crazy mustache. Justin is an artist with sushi. So step one was meeting him at Shellring. I don't remember what the order was. I know he spent some time at the kitchen in Beaufort. I'm glad that we're talking about this because he just announced literally 2 days ago that he left the kitchen in May of 2023 and now he's coming back. He's grateful and excited for the opportunity to be a part of the growth and expansion of the kitchen. The kitchen in Beaufort took over a space next door to them. This is a place where you can go get prepared foods, and Justin is cranking out sushi dish after sushi dish. But one of his stops along the way was when a brand new restaurant opened up in Ladies Island called Locals Raw Bar, the brainchild of Hunter Cozart, who is a Beaufort native. He did have a couple of years where he was up in North Carolina. Hunter is a chef that is always constantly trying to improve himself. I learned as we sat there at the bar having lunch, I learned what staging was. It's spelled exactly the same as staging, like a real estate agent would stage a property for sale. Staging is interning or working for free with a chef and learning different things in different ways. And he even said to me, he said he went up to one of these places and worked with another chef. And he comes back and he says to Justin, in a joking way, "We suck. We have to do better. We have to incorporate these styles and these, techniques and things like that." So Sushi Dude, again, back at Beaufort Kitchen, but he was there when Locals Raw Bar started. There's literally a omakase that's named after him, which I chose. I was already planning on doing some sort of sashimi omakase. Locals Raw Bar, for someone like me, and again, I'm not a big roll person. I will have rolls, but I try not to fill too much up on the rice. I want as much beautiful, fresh, sliced fish that I can get. So I said to Hunter, I said, what's the best way for me to get the most amount of fish with the least amount of rice possible? And he said, I would go with the Pat Nomakase, which of course is named after Justin. And he made a slight modification to that because the technically the Pat Nomakase is nigiri and fudumaki, which is a roll. And so he pivoted it, he made a slight adjustment to that where it was essentially a full sashimi plate. It's exactly what I wanted. The slabs, I got to use the word slab because these were not slices of fish. These were healthy slices of tuna, of salmon, of, let's see if I can find it here. Actually, I know where to look. They had madai. They had otoro, which is the fattiest tuna that you can get. I'm sorry, it was it a bream? I don't remember exactly what it was. Regardless, you had a variety of different. Yes, it was a bream, a freshwater fish. So I had a couple of these different things. What you're looking at here is the okonomiyaki, which is a cabbage pancake. I'm glad that you showed this one, Tim. I know I sent you a lot of photos because, like you said about the cutting room floor, I just want to try to have as much as we can. We're not going to highlight every single thing I ate.
Oh, you used my words against me. Well done, sir. Well done.
Right? It's true.
Well
So,
done.
an okonomiyaki is, and this is something that used to be just on the dinner menu, but they moved it over to lunch as well. It's a cabbage pancake, giant chunks of pork belly, local egg, house sauce, benny seeds, scallion, local basil, and katsuo bushi. I got to look that up because I didn't even notice that when I saw it. It's a skipjack tuna. So there's a little bit of tuna in there as well. This was the most robust, most delicious okonomiyaki I've ever had. Joss and I ate a couple of things, so we ended up taking the rest of it home. Actually, the katsuobushi it's simmered, smoked, and fermented skipjack that is also known as bonito flakes, or more broadly as okaka. When they bring this plate out, and I've seen similar, and we'll talk about it too at another one of the spots on the list. This tuna, these bonito flakes that top this cabbage pancake are moving. It's like it's alive when it comes
Wow.
out, and it's because of how thin they are. These shavings, these flakes, they're, like I said, they're alive. And when they bring out the dish, and because they're warm, the same thing happened when I heated the rest of it up for a little afternoon snack over the weekend. Same type of thing. Warmed it up in the microwave, and I had, the flakes were moving. This place is spectacular. They have specials. That day they had the soft shell crab sandwich. Jocelyn went with that. House baked bun, fried whole crab, green goddess dressing, pickles, fries. Their fries are excellent. We enjoyed look at that. That's the patent omakase, at least the customized version that I had. Look at
Nice.
how beautiful and they were super, super fresh, really large pieces of fish. We enjoyed a crab quesadilla appetizer as well. And I just, like I said, I don't get out there as often as I can. There you see the crab quesadilla. I don't get out there as often as I can. They always have fresh oysters, 3 different options. On that particular day, they had green gills from North Carolina. They had Prince Edward Island Savage Blondes, and they had Redhead Selects from, I want to say it says NB. It's probably New Brunswick in Canada. But my wife absolutely loved this soft shell crab sandwich. I absolutely loved my sashimi. Again, the okonomiyaki was delicious. They got cocktails there. If you're not into, sushi, they got other stuff. I actually, I forgot to mention, I got the not so clear soup, which is now known as miso soup. There was just some confusion when people were looking at the menu saying, what's not so clear? It's a chicken dashi with chicken and shrimp dumplings, lao, and scallions. And for those of you who don't know, lao is let's see. It says Lao cuisine features bold, fresh flavors.
Is that the not
Whatever
so
it
clear
is,
soup?
that's it.
Okay,
And
yeah.
it's got
I had
the
that.
shrimp and chicken dumplings, and I just the flavor of that broth. It reminded me of that fish stew that I had at Radici for that soft opening. The depth of flavor that was on there. Um,
Nice.
it's just the flavor is just spectacular. Always churning out specials. They do oyster roasts. I think they've done a low country boil. Go check them out. Localsrawbar.com. It
Yes,
was
thank you.
great.
I was
Yeah,
about to say that. Localsrawbar.com, 97 Sea Island Parkway, Suite 202 in Beaufort. Technically, Sea Island,
Ladies
but
Island.
Ladies
Yeah.
Island, but technically Beaufort, but it's Ladies Island. So, I when we were talking about this episode last week, I said that I wasn't going to have a whole lot of input, but then I started looking at your list, and I was like, wow, okay, been there, been there, been there. Been to Locals Raw Bar. Loved the Jolt Head porgy. Cuke, carrot, jalapeno, avocado, apple ginger, and apple ginger relish, and green curry vinaigrette. Loved that. I loved the fact because I just wasn't expecting it at a raw bar to have fries, and so I liked their fries were fantastic. So, and I
So
had
that
the
Jolt
nuts,
Head porgy, there's no fish on there. That's just a veggie roll.
just a veggie. Yeah,
That's awesome.
it
Yeah, he's got a
was
couple.
delicious, and it was I was trying to balance because I wanted I saw a couple other people have fries, so I was looking at a couple other things on their menu, but I wanted to balance health wise, so I had the veggie and then the fries and the not so clear soup, which was amazing. So, um, yeah, great way to start the list, my friend.
The
Where
amount
to
of
next?
options that he has. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just they got a mafalda, which is a pasta. They got a burger. They've had a short rib melt. I've had a tuna melt there. Fried shrimp, lobster grilled
don't
cheese, lobster roll. I mean, it's just one after another. You know, they got fried chicken bowl. The amount of they got something for everyone, and I love how they incorporate the specials. I love that you can do an omakase. I love that there's a chef's tasting menu. Go check him out, folks. The stuff that he's got going. I had a really enjoyable conversation with him and my wife. He just really cares a lot about it and constantly continuing and trying to elevate. So
What did I
kudos to
just
local raw bar.
What did I just text you, Nick?
Let's see. Don't make me come over there. Maybe you need to have a buzzer so that
Yeah.
I know to advance to
Okay.
the next thing.
All right. Yes. Okay. I have a buzzer. If you really want me to play you off the stage like the Oscars, I have that technology. Where are we
Bring it.
going next? Where are we going next?
We're going to go to, I mean, anybody that lives in Hilton Head or visits Hilton Head on a regular basis, you ask them where they go for sushi. The vast majority of the time, they're going to tell you Hinoki. Hinoki Japanese restaurant and sushi bar over in the New Orleans Plaza, where you'll find Chez George, Michael Anthony's, Catch 22, Sweetwater Steamer, all that good stuff. You can't miss it. You got that pink awning that kind of juts out towards the parking lot. I mean, if you're going to go for sushi, whether you're going to sit down at a table, a regular table, whether you're going to sit down at one of those really cool tables where, you know, it's kind of sunken in and you sit down and your legs are under the table that's like sort of built into the floor there. I don't know what those are called. They got those, that very sort of authentic bamboo sort of feel, that little, you know, even though it's indoors, that little garden looking thing out the back. I know there's a lot of people like musician Mark Husbands, whose wife has worked there for about 20 years. He posts at least once or twice a week. He'll just plop down at the sushi bar and have, you know, the sushi chef just putting out, you know, whatever they got going for that particular day. I love Hinoki. I love going there with my parents, with my family. I particularly, I mean, the menu is just enormous. What I really focus on, in addition to a sashimi platter that I'll almost always go with as an entree, I'll focus on, and I'll do some gyoza and some shrimp shumai, some pork gyoza, you know, pan sauteed. I'll do some shrimp shumai, steamed shrimp dumplings. But really, where Hinoki shines for me is the seafood salads that they do. They have 3 different kinds. Actually, I take it back, 5 different kinds, but I focus on the seafood salads. Seafood salad number 1, cucumber, soy vinegar ponzu. Look at that beautiful sashimi platter. The presentation here is unsurpassed. Seafood salad 2 does a little bit differently with thinly sliced onions and a carpaccio dressing like you would get with a tuna carpaccio. Seafood salad number 3, you're going a little bit spicier with those onions and a wasabi vinaigrette. They also have a spicy tuna sashimi salad that has crab stick, cucumber, and spicy mayo, and a calamari salad that is a seafood salad number 2, where they add flash fried squid tentacles. Those to me are, for someone that loves just as much raw fish as I can possibly get, those are my favorite. I know a lot of people talk about the dinosaur egg. I know that that's really popular, but I love the seafood salads. There's one that you see right there. Beautiful, fresh sliced cucumber, loaded with crab, loaded with other seafood. It's just, the flavors are just unbelievable. They got a ton of maki rolls. They got a ton of different options for nigiri. You can get the unagi there, the eel. You can get the uni, the sea urchin. I'm big on the cucumber rolls. So they typically call that Naruto. I don't exactly remember what, I'm trying to find it here, what Hinoki calls it, but I love the rolls. Like I said, I don't really like doing a lot of rice. So I love the rolls that are, it's a cucumber wrap, and they got the one that's, you know, it's got the crab and, you know, sort of the simpler one, and then you can go into the other one that's got the couple different kinds of fish. little bit of a more colorful thing there. My wife's into shirashi. She'll do basically sashimi over rice, but I'm a sashimi platter guy, and almost invariably I'm always going to order one of these, one or two of these cucumber rolls, and at least two of the seafood salads every time I go.
I mean, they've got I'm not gonna say it's like the Cheesecake Factory of menus, but there's so many options. I mean, if you're talking about sheer volume of options and every single one of them's delicious, this may be your spot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 30 different maki sushi rolls options. Um, 3 different nigiri sushi, chef's choice options. Just so many, like you said, the dinosaur egg, um, the asobi tuna wrapped in seaweed, flash fried in tempura. I enjoy quite much. Um, yeah, it's really a special spot.
You got to have a plan when you're going out to have
Yeah, you
sushi.
do.
I mean, there's people that go out for sushi and they're just like, California roll, Boston roll, whatever the case is. You got to have a plan. Before I go to Hanoki with my family, I'm studying that menu ahead of time. I have a plan going in. I know what things I want to hit, and I'm going to make sure, because I don't go there on a regular basis. I want to make sure that I'm going to get the ones. I think that's the Chirashi bowl right there. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to get all the stuff that I, particularly enjoy. And so, like I said, you got to have a plan. There's another one of the seafood salads right there. Like you said, the menu is huge, and you don't have to do sushi. My father's not a sushi person. He goes with one of the teriyaki dinners. They have that hibachi style type of dinners there too,
Yeah,
and they got noodles. You can get soba, udon noodles. You can get a ramen noodle soup. They got everything for everybody if you're into Japanese food at Inoki.
phenomenal. Like you said, combo teriyaki dinners, chicken, salmon, shrimp, filet mignon, all options for the combos with served with shrimp and vegetable tempura, miso soup or house salad, steamed or fried rice. Um, some great early bird specials. Um,
Just gonna say that
it's so much good stuff at Honoki.
they've won awards for best sushi. They've won, whether it was the Island Packet or Monthly Magazine. Um, Again, I just there aren't enough superlatives. It's very rare to find someone who likes sushi and doesn't frequent Hanoki on Hilton Head Island.
Absolutely. Great choice there. Um, very just what impresses me is a spot that um goes all in and just when when you do this many things, I listen, I'm all for the spots that just have that small menu and try a few just nail a few things. When you're putting 30 sushi rolls alone, 30 different combinations on the sushi rolls alone. Um, and every single one of them is delicious. Like you said, you got to go in with a plan, but you're also kind of a fear of missing out guy. So like, FOMO guy. So when you see something at the restaurant, I'm the same way. You see something at the restaurant, it's like, ooh, 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 what's that? I gotta do that. Like, I don't know. Hanoki's one of those spots for sure.
And you got to you got to pay attention to the board too, next to the sushi bar, because
Yep.
they might have something that they run on special, just like we talked about last week with Etang with their dim sum, you got to keep an eye out for the specials there.
What's next on the list, sir?
Let's come back over the bridge, and like we had earlier, our interview with Marshall Sampson, we're going to go with Kung Fu Cantina, which is newer to the game, newer to the party, if you will. Asian Latin fusion. We're going to table and I know they're making some changes to the menu, like Marshall said, so they can make it a little bit easier for people to understand. We're going to table the entree portions. They got to update their menu online with this new trifold where you have, sort of Latin forward, Asian forward, and meat in the middle. But the original entree menu, where I told you I enjoyed a carne asada egg roll. You talked about the burrilla buns. I love the burrilla quesadilla.
Oh,
The
I didn't.
Mexican,
Yeah, I didn't even mention the burrilla quesadilla. I didn't want to
yeah,
throw too many things out because I didn't know where you were going. But oh my goodness,
yeah,
thorough second on the burrilla quesadilla.
absolutely, absolutely. And my wife, she loved the Mexican street corn fried rice. I went there shortly after they opened with Tisha Schaefer from Coast Brokered by EXP. She enjoyed the Mexican street corn fried rice as well.
I wish I'd had
Um,
that.
it's
I just had the Mexican street corn in a cup. I just completely brain farted in terms of doing the fried rice.
Well, now you got a to-do list. So
Yep.
those are hitting on a couple of the entrees. I want to focus on the sushi part of it because, like, the first couple of times I went, I didn't really go with sushi, right? So I said I'll get to that later. I went with the queso fundido or the gochujang fundido and the ahi tuna nachos and like you said, the edamame was delicious. The poblano soup, which now they're going to change over to a corn soup
Corn
similar
soup.
to what
Yep.
they had with the painted desert. So I I didn't mess around too much into that. And then, a month or two ago, I went there for lunch with, a couple of my friends. Um, and I said, let me get into this sushi menu. So on that particular day, they had a standalone menu that said Kung Fu rolls. And I was immediately drawn in by the Mexican roll. I misspoke during the interview, I said Mexicali. But the Mexican roll was really interesting. Crab, avocado, fresh crab, avocado, cucumber, and chipotle cream cheese, topped with crusted tortilla, corn, and micro cilantro. This was, and you're looking at the little sashimi that I started with, which of course I
Okay.
got to just go with the raw fish.
Yeah.
So I started with that because I just love the sashimi. Tuna, salmon, yellowtail. Look at that Mexican roll. Most rolls where they have a topping, it'll be like a tempura, like a tempura flakes.
Yeah.
This was topped with crushed tortilla, so it gave like an interesting crunch. It gave an
Yeah.
interesting saltiness. I'm not really usually a big fan of rolls that have cream cheese, but this was a chipotle cream cheese. So you see how they bring the two together. There's one that's Caribbean that has plantains in it. There's one that's it's got serrano peppers. That's the samurai roll. It's just this interesting sort of fresh take on sushi. The fish was delicious. I want to go back and I want to dig deeper on the sushi stuff. I want to take a look at this newer revised menu that they have. And especially after doing the sushi class where I was able to make two rolls and a maki, a handheld, it's just so much fun. Like we said, so much bright colors, so inviting in terms of the atmosphere and then also the staff. This place is a big hit. It's a winner in my book. And a lot of the feedback that I've gotten from friends that I sent there since the beginning, since they opened, has been largely overwhelmingly positive. So I can't wait to see how they continue to evolve.
Awesome. Yeah. No. It's we could put them in a number of different list here just for what they've been able to accomplish out of the gates. But yeah, I have not tried the sushi yet. I have not, um, like you said, kind of putting together a to-do list at this point, and that's definitely on the list.
And Tim, even if you're not into the raw fish, they got a veggie roll, just like we talked about from Locals. They got a tempura fried shrimp roll, and they got a crab roll that's spicy lump crab. Again, real crab. So you have options for cooked fish and vegetables if you're not a raw fish person, which some people are just not.
And that's the thing. I'm not. It's not that I'm not. It's not that I'm not a raw fish guy. I have I've had awful sushi experiences, not in the Low Country. Had awful sushi experiences, um, and really being full disclosure, I had such a freaking cliche. I had basically convenience store gas station sushi. I was that guy. It was at an IGA in New Rochelle, New York. And or it was the gas station next. Why wouldn't I just get that? Was that yeah, okay? Why wouldn't I have just gotten it at the IGA? Right? Okay. No, Associated Grocers, an AG. It wasn't an IGA. It was an AG in New Rochelle, right near Larchmont, on the main street in New Rochelle. And I don't know what the hell I was thinking. I got the sushi at the convenience store next to the AG, and it crippled me for about 10 years. And then I went to Hawaii and got into poke, got into all the different sushi and raw fish, kind of another renaissance. Then I had another bad sushi experience, again, not in the Low Country. So I think it's probably time for me to put the big boy pants on, and especially with all the things you're highlighting, and jump back full on. I mean, I've had some, like I said, I had more than I thought I had when I'm looking at your list. But yeah, time for me to put the big boy pants on again and really enjoy some of these places.
Let me know when you're ready, bro. I'll sit there. I'll be right there with you.
So where are we going next on the list?
We're
I
going to
think we're
go
going back
to,
to a familiar
yeah,
one.
we spent a lot of time last week talking about akamea, but if we're going to have an episode about sushi and Japanese food, we have to revisit them. We focused on the Chinese food dishes last week, but briefly mentioned some of the Japanese options. They got it all at akamea. They got the sushi bar appetizers. I'm a big fan of the salmon lover. It's wrapped the salmon wrapped around crab meat. It's delightful. I like the yellowtail jalapeno as well. Yellowtail sashimi with sriracha and yuzu. I always go dumplings. I always go, kani salad, the crab meat, cucumber, and masago with a spicy mayonnaise. I mean, the amount of options that they have for sushi or sashimi a la carte, the rolls, the hand rolls, the Naruto, like I told you, whether it's the kani with the crab stick or the rainbow with the tuna and salmon yellowtail. They got special rolls that are cooked. They got special rolls that are raw. They got poke bowls, spicy crab, Hawaiian tuna, Thai spicy tuna, spicy citrus salmon, and they got a slew of sushi bar entrees. Whether you want to go specific tuna, salmon, or California, you want to go with a combination of makis, you want to go with a spicy maki combo, you want to go with an akamea combo. It's got a couple of different pieces of sushi and a roll. Sushi for one, sushi for two, a sashimi deluxe, which is my go-to. You can do a sushi and sashimi combo. You can do unagi, which is just the oil, the eel on a bed of sushi rice. Tricolor sushi, tricolor sushi, tricolor sashimi. And then you get into the real big ones, which is, the love at first sight, which is just pieces upon pieces. And one of these days, I got to sit down in one of these places and I got to do that big boat where they put everything in that beautiful boat. I really love their dumplings there. Now, you can say that there's dumplings and then there's gyoza. Maybe these are somewhere in the middle. They're dumplings, pan fried, but they're really like they look like gyoza, but they're the size of, because usually the gyoza are a little bit smaller. These are full size dumplings in the gyoza style. So I don't want to beat the drum too much because we talked a lot about them last week,
Yep,
but
yep.
they hit all the high notes when it comes to sushi as well.
Very nice. Yeah, they just get it right, you know? What you know, and we talk a lot about the menu items, and we kinda go through the specific items. What is it that makes Akamea stand out on the sushi side for you?
Consistency. Whether I'm going to go eat there, which it's been a while since I've actually sat and eat there. They're on DoorDash, which is easy for me to put together a large order that's going to cover me for a couple of meals. But there's always a consistency in the quality. If they forget something, which has happened a couple of times, usually it's something minor. You call them up. There's a credit waiting for you. The next time that you order, it's already built into the system. Every time I get there, when I go pick it up myself, it's always already ready to go. And the quality just never wavers. And that's the most important thing, in my opinion.
Where are we going next on the list, sir?
We're going to stay with the consistency category, okay? And we talked about last week on Chinese food, we talked about Hong Kong. We talked about how I can go to Hong Kong and I can pick up Chinese food and I know exactly what I'm getting every week. This is just a coincidence that they happen to be a couple doors down from each other. But I got to go with wasabi at Buckwalter Place in Bluffton. I have never sat down and eaten in wasabi. It has always been a pickup for me. Like I said, at some point, I want to get into a love boat at one of these places where you have this you know, giant platter of sushi. Wasabi is close to my house over here on 170 in Lawton Station. They crank on the weekends. You got to call, you got to put in your order over the phone. Almost every time I've been there to pick up, the place is packed. The amount of orders that are running through there, very infrequently will there be any sort of mistake made. They do their a la carte nigiri or sashimi, just like most places. I'm not going to go through all the sushi entrees like I did before because it's essentially a lot of the same type of things that we talked about with Akamea. You can get your basic rolls, your hand rolls, a number of signature rolls, of course, as well. 7 different special poke bowls, and you can even create your own poke bowl. That's that Connie salad that I always get. With the Connie salad, I tell them to leave the tempura flakes on the side because I really just like to enjoy the salad by itself without there being an overwhelming amount of tempura, and they oblige when I ask for that. That you have that's the Connie Naruto. Every time we order from Wasabi, my wife's going to get a Connie Naruto and a chirashi dinner without fail every time. I should also mention I also really enjoy their their soup. They have
Mhm.
they have a seafood miso soup that is just delicious.
Yeah, it really is, and, off the sushi, but I really love the Japanese curry there.
Really,
Um, yeah, it
that's
really
interesting.
yeah, it kinda blew my mind, because it is a tough I don't normally think of, although it is, curry is one of the most popular dishes in Japan, but I don't typically think of curry when I'm going to a Japanese or a Chinese spot, or if I'm looking at sushi, I'm looking at hibachi. I don't typically think of curry. Their Japanese curry there is so good. Um, let me see if you can see it on the menu. Yeah, here it is right here. That's their Japanese curry, and
Wow.
it is so tasty. And again, uh, nice cut of of meat there. The sauce is delicious. Oh, it's just my mouth is watering right now. Like I wasn't even planning on chiming in on that, but I when we're scrolling the menu here, I just was like, oh my goodness, yes, the Japanese curry. How can I not mention that?
I'm glad you said that because I typically won't go for like a tempura dinner or a hibachi meal, which is what they have too. They have the bento boxes, they
Yep.
have noodle entrees and all this other kind of stuff. I'm a creature of habit, so it's not for any other reason that. And then they do a bunch of lunch specials too with the boxes and the sushi and the sashimi as well. I'm a creature of habit, so when I'm going with with wasabi. I'm glad that you brought that to my attention because I very rarely will get anything different, than what I normally get sushi wise. Sometimes I'll mix in a different appetizer. I went with last time I went with the yagadashi tofu, which is lightly fried tofu with a house special sauce on the side. I like the spring rolls, I like the edamame, I like the gyoza, but very rarely will I mix something in. And I think I might have done like a chicken katsu one time as well, or the chicken karagi with the popcorn chicken. I'm glad that you mentioned that. There you see that delicious seafood miso soup. I'm going to definitely expand my horizons, Tim. I'll probably always start with the gyoza and the kani salad, and I'll always finish with the sashimi platter, which there you see it there. They do a nice job with that. Nice sized pieces of fish, always very fresh. But yeah, they do the salmon wraps and the yellowtail jalapeno as well. I'm going to expand my horizons and I'm going to start getting into a couple of more hot dishes to go along with my sushi.
Extremely reasonable prices, and like should probably bring that up on a couple of these other ones, but this one definitely strikes me. I mean, you can get a shrimp scallop and lobster tail hibachi for 32.95. I mean, anytime you throw lobster in there, you're usually putting a 3 uh just for the lobster in front of, $30 add-on just for the lobster. So very reasonable there. I'll also tell you that I really have enjoyed the sizzling hot plates there. The filet
Oh, nice.
mignon hot plate is 22.95, and it's just it you know it's, grilled with steamed vegetable and a sweet Japanese teriyaki sauce. I always want to say teriyaki. I don't know. Um, and it's kind of got that fajita sizzling plate thing going to it in the Japanese style. Really good stuff. It's like I think I said this last week. You see a new sign. You see a new sign. I just remember when Wasabi opened, and you see a new sign, and you're like, "Oh, I gotta try it. Gotta try it." And Hong Kong is such a staple there and then New York City pizza's also there. Was Wasabi's very easy to forget, kind of in that mix, and now Culver's is coming over there, and um, tell you what. Go play mini golf, over at Lighthouse Lagoon, and then hit up that's a good night right there. Play some mini golf, then hit up Wasabi. Uh, Not too heavy, like a pizza or sometimes, Americanized Chinese can be. Not too a lot of not too heavy, choices at Wasabi. It'll be a really nice night for you.
Absolutely. Great value.
Where are we going next?
From Wasabi, we're going to go back over to Hilton Head Island. If you're asking about sushi and you're not getting suggested Hinoki, there's a pretty good chance that the other mention is going to be for Oko.
And for good
I
reason.
don't, yeah, absolutely. I don't frequent Oko as much as I do Hinoki and, of course, Akameya and Wasabi because they're just closer. My father loves Oko, and that's because he's big into the hibachi dinners. You're going to find a lot of the sushi and a lot of stuff like that. You're going to find it. We're not going to keep going back over these same dishes over and over again. Um, in my opinion, if you're going to Oko, you're going for the atmosphere. It's got a completely different vibe. It's almost like you're going to like Miami to have sushi place in Miami. And I'm not trying to compare, these restaurants to, those ones that you're always seeing. The names are escaping
But
me, but
you see the lighting and you see you see the vibe in there. It's a great description in terms of Miami.
absolutely. I mean, and again, I'm not Nobu. I guess would be one. I'm not
Nobu.
going to
Yep.
compare these places to that type of thing because that's the top, the tippity top of the upper echelon. But Oko, they got the waterfall thing going on. They got the beautiful like translucent wine closet. They're churning out, sushi, of course, all day long, all night long. But they're doing a lot of you know, hot dinners, hibachi dinners, combination dinners. They have a whole section of their menu devoted to Thai food, which I know that's not the subject of today's podcast, but we talk about value. You get a combination of steak and shrimp, or whatever combination that you go with. Um, unless you're incorporating like lobster in there, that's going to get you up to that 43.95 level. Most of these hibachi combinations are anywhere from 28.95 to 34.95. So there's obviously there's a lot of value there. It's not something that I would do for takeout because I don't live on Hilton Head, but that's like I said, if you're not going to Hinoki, you're going to Oko. Some people they have their favorites, might be one or the other. But when it comes down to sushi in Hilton Head, more often than not, it's going to be one of these two spots. We enjoyed an early New Year's Eve dinner a couple of years ago where they put us in a little room with a round table all to ourselves, the 8 of us, and we ate and laughed and had an absolute blast with our own little sort of like private area. It was a lot of fun. There you go. There's that Connie salad with the tempura flakes on there. As you can see, a lot of the ones that I go to the well, quite a bit. So they even have Chinese food there as well. We talked about Chinese food last week. We didn't mention Oko. They got 13 different soups. You know, I'm glad I looked at the soups because that's something that I really enjoy there. Even though I love hot and sour soup, and even though I love, you know, potak, which is a seafood soup, or tom yum soup, which is a Thai soup. They have a sweet corn chicken soup that's absolutely delicious.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's the platter that my father enjoyed, which was it looks like a shrimp and scallop. You
Mm-hmm.
can just it's loaded up with that yummy sauce on the side.
Nice sear.
Exactly. You can't go wrong. They and again, it's the same thing. It's consistency, and it's you know every one of these places brings a little bit of a different character. And I think when you're going there, you're going for this nice, maybe it's like a date night or something like that. It's got that sort of that blue lighting. It's a little bit darker in there. It's just got kind of like that South Beach kind of feel.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's even a special occasion, but like there's an ambiance there that if it is a special occasion, this is definitely a nice spot. Other than just the style of food, the ambiance of the spot kind of I don't know. Whatever age group you're at, whether you're a teenager or you're 20 something, like if you're putting it together a date at Oko, for an early dating um scenario, you're making yourself look good. You're making yourself look good by taking the Oko for sure.
100% agree.
What's next?
Let's round out the main part of the list with a place that deserves mention. We talk about reviews. this is a sneakier one. 787 Google reviews, averaging 4.3 stars. Saki House, Bluffton, right in the shopping
So
center.
good.
Yeah,
I was shocked to see this on your list because it just has this. I don't know. I don't know what the word is in terms of the reputation. Just kind of um when I bring it up with friends, it's kind of okay, Saki House. I don't know whether it's that they've been there a lot or they kind of see it as like uh pedestrian or whenever the kind of that sort of air about. By the way, one thing I wanted to mention with Oko, just constructive criticism. When I go to a website, I want to see the menu, and there's some like Oko is one of those websites where it goes right to pickup and delivery, and so you have to go in to order it to see the menu. So I hope that I hope they. I want to just make sure. Yeah, I already saw it. I went through it.
yeah,
Yeah, it was because.
you're right.
Yeah, yeah.
I pull all these up to prepare when we're getting ready for this, and there were multiples that were you had to go to order
It's a
to
little
see what the
pet
menu.
peeve. I
I completely agree. And while we're on the subject of constructive criticism, I'll be honest. My honest, straightforward feedback about Saki House is that the couple of times that I did go there, both were for lunch. You walk in and they have that beautiful fountain right there when you walk in, but it's not
Yep,
operational. At least it wasn't the last time that I was there.
yep,
Um, so that wasn't operational. And you look over to the left, and I know that like hibachi is an experience that not everybody's going to do on a regular basis. It's more of like a family like type of event type thing. But a lot of times you look over to the left and you see that area, and you're wondering like, well, what's going on over there. And they have a bar over there too. There's a bar to the left side. There's a bar, straight ahead when you walk into the back. So sometimes it's just, you can't always judge a book by its cover, because you see that and you're like, what's going on in this place? It's almost like they kind of abandoned the hibachi side. But that being said, if you take a right hand turn and you go into that main dining room
main
that's by
dining
the
room. Yeah,
sushi bar, if you just walked right into there and you didn't see all that other stuff that I just mentioned, you might have a different opinion. I'll tell you this: I've been to Saki House for lunch over the last year or two, 3 or 4 times. For someone like me that likes to just sit down and eat a bunch of raw fish, it's just as good as anyone out there. Whether it's a sashimi appetizer, whether it's a tsunamano, which is the mixed raw fish, cucumber, and the house ponzu sauce. We talked Naruto and kanisu, the cucumber rolls. Like, I will literally sit down and I will order like almost all of the cold appetizers. I might get like a dumpling or a haramaki spring roll or something like that. My brother, he goes in a completely different direction. He goes with, you know, a giant bowl of fried rice, with whatever, or like the noodles. They got all the different varieties of noodles. So to each their own. I think that those are valid, you know, it's a valid perspective to have when you walk in a place and you're like kind of wondering like what's going on here. It was the crab meat fried rice actually that I'm a big fan of, with the spicy crab meat and the eel sauce. If I could recommend, if you're going to do that, ask for the spicy mayo on the side, because sometimes they'll be a little bit overwhelming. But there you see, there's another Connie salad. We might have skipped ahead to a takeout version there, but
yep, yep.
it always gets the job done. So it's fair. It's only fair for them to make the list. Again, places can always make improve. I love the way that they put those cucumber rolls out on a nice
Yeah.
big plate with the nice flour in the middle, on a bed of the sauce. The presentation, the quality of the sushi, and the quality of the food itself it belongs in a conversation with all these other places.
Yeah, the food is so good there. I like it is our go-to spot for hibachi. Uh they put on a show. They put on a really good show. And the chicken, the salmon, the filet mignon that they use with the hibachi. S- Sometimes I feel places that do hibachi. I feel like I'm getting less than meat sometimes with hibachi. The places that do it well don't skimp and give you the best stuff, and it's really reasonable prices at Saki House, and it's really high quality poultry and seafood and fillet, and like silly affordable prices in my opinion. Like a lot of times I go there, I'm like, you guys could probably get away with jacking the price a little bit, and I wouldn't even bat an eye, but thank you for not doing that. Um,
Sure.
you know, they do a lot of things well. I do think, like you said, there's the website doesn't do them any favors in terms of the look and presentation of their spot. And I had the website up early. I'll put it back up. It doesn't look it doesn't sell the place the right way. I'll say that. There's some photos on the front page as you see some of the sushi options there. Um it is really it deserves to be on this list. Not that I think that Nick's some sort of sushi snob. I just
Say that five
you
times fast.
sushi snob. You continue to surprise me in terms of just the or not surprise me, but like I'm getting used to the fact that you don't have you don't need to roll with the Joneses in terms of like the highbrow picks. Like food is food. Good food is good food. I don't care if I get it in a trailer or if I get it at a food truck or if I get it at a Michelin restaurant. Good food's good food. Great service is great service. You're gonna get them both at Saki House.
100%. Never been disappointed.
That's a that's a fun list right there. That's a fun list, but but wait, there's more. It's hot potato time, friends.
There he is.
Hot potato, hot potato. All right, so this is kind of the quick hitters. In the past, we've had honorable mention on the main list. Nick made a great point heading into this week's show that honorable mention just doesn't do it justice. So we're gonna go through some other great options here in the hot potato segment. So where do you want to start?
Other places that do deserve a mention. We used to have Kobe. What would you call that neighborhood over there, Tim?
Plantation Park, right in
Correct.
front of Westbury Park.
Yes. Kobe need a little bit of a refresher. Let's put it that way. They rebranded as Izu several months ago. A friend of mine, John Dorval, who's in the trivia game like you, sent me a text the other day, said, "Have you been to Izu?" I thought it was great. I said, "Yeah, absolutely." I do not have any photos for you on this one because I only did a takeout order a couple of months ago. This is another website where you got to click through like you're going to do an online order to see what they got. I don't need to
Stop
get
it,
into any.
people! Stop it!
Yeah, exactly. I don't need to
At
get
least
into
they
any
give us some
specifics.
photos here. At least they give us some photos.
Yeah, exactly. They do. They give a couple shots. It's known as Izu Steakhouse, Japanese steakhouse and sushi bar, which is interesting. I mean, you can get, you know, hibachi there. You can get, you know, those hibachi entrees, teriyaki entrees. For me, it just always comes back to the sushi. So again, no reason to get into anything specific, but you got a whole bunch of sushi appetizers. You got your spicy kani salad. They do their spicy. That was a winner for me. And then again, just
Who
give me
recommended it to you again?
John Dorval, who does
John.
I believe you mentioned him, and they does the trivia over at our bar, I think.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
One of my
Uh,
New
that's
Jersey
good to know.
friends.
That's good to know because I was definitely butthurt when Kobe went away because Kobe was one of my favorites. So I'll definitely give it a try.
It's funny when you
Jo-
go into
if
the
Jo-
online
John's
order.
in on it, got to try it.
When you go into the online order, it still says Kobe in
Yeah.
like 12-point font up at the top. So just got to make some slight adjustments. I think they ripped out the carpet and just made some improvements on the interior of the place. Maybe some slight tweaks to the menu, but they deserve a mention.
Yep. Where to next?
We don't do a lot of Savannah, but if we're going to talk about sushi and Japanese food and ramen, I got to mention one of my regular visits over in Savannah in the Starland District, Yukio, Ukiyo. My wife and I stumbled upon Yukio out in that Starland District quite a while ago. We're like, what's this place all about? Sushi and ramen. And I mean, this place is just a hit parade. We haven't done too much of the ramen yet. There you see you got the chicken, the crispy chicken, the chicken karagi, as we said with Marshall earlier, Japanese fried chicken with house pickles and citrus mayo. They had a spicy version as well. They do the same thing with hot tofu. There you have one of the noodle dishes that we enjoyed. I feel like that was a special on that particular night. So, I mean, you can get tonkatsu ramen, you can get miso ramen, you can get coconut curry ramen, you can even get mentaiko mazamen, which I had to look up, and I'm going to have to do it again. Mentaiko mazamen is a Japanese style cod roe pasta dish where it's basically like, because of the roe, it creates a rich and creamy sauce. There you see one of the bao buns. They're absolutely delicious. I love the atmosphere in this place. It's got kind of like that oko, excuse me, type of thing going on. They've done pop-ups, whether it had to do with cocktails or whether it had to do, one was called Sushi by M. It was a special pop-up consisting of hand rolls. I didn't notice until today that if you go on their website, this is a dream come true for me. They list out the specials. So it's literally got from Friday the 11th of this week through Monday the 14th, what their specials are going to be every night
Look
between
at
5 and
that.
10. Yeah, I
How
love that
smart
stuff.
is that, Nick?
It's very, very smart. And
Why
let's
don't
just
more
say
restaurants do this?
that's a question that I've been asking myself for quite some time. And without getting into too many details, let's just say that it's something that I am on the path of addressing um, with
Do you
all of the
think it's a
restaurants.
matter of planning?
I think it's just a matter of time. Especially with these places that make changes to their menus and things like that. But I think
Yeah.
if you can carve out 5-10 minutes a week, even if you just do it on your social media channels, which, as you know, as our audience knows, I get lured in a lot by the mention of specials. Um, they do a great blistered shishito peppers with lemon and togarashi. They do okonomiyaki is another really good one. It's just hit after hit after hit, and then you got to keep an eye out for the specials because they're always going to have some special sushi. They're always going to have some special noodles. They're always going to have some special cocktails. I am a huge fan of Yukio, and I keep coming back because I love the atmosphere. I love the food. They call it an izakaya and ramen bar. And for those of you who are not familiar, izakaya is a Japanese word that means stay, drink, place. So an izakaya is a place to have a drink, settle in, and get comfortable. And that's exactly what I do at Yukio Savannah.
Not to be confused with Yu-Gi-Oh, the card game. Just in
That's
case.
a like a
Sorry.
Pokemon type of thing, right?
It is. It is. It is the precursor. Actually, it's an offshoot of Pokemon. Pokemon's the OG, but Yu-Gi-Oh, my goodness, my nephew, my sons all were huge into Yu-Gi-Oh. Yu-Gi-Oh was probably more popular at one point, and then Pokemon got Pokemon Go going, and they kind of regained the momentum. But I digress. Where do we go
I have to
next?
respect it. You got a kid at heart here who's staring at 1,000 action figures. So nerd, it's just nerding out in a different way.
Nice. Where
Um,
to next?
we're 12 episodes into this podcast, and I don't know that we really have gotten into any discussion at all about Skull Creek Boathouse,
I know.
which is wild, but in and of itself. But I have to mention Skull Creek Boathouse because one of my favorite experiences in Hilton Head or Bluffton is the dive bar at the boathouse. Just in
And
name only, right?
yeah.
Section of the menu, if you will.
And by the way, this was news to me, and I feel stupid for it. I was like, I would never even think. And am I stupid? Is commonly known? Have they really like been a sushi spot?
No, I wouldn't say that they've been a sushi spot. Of the three, that big three there, which of course is, Boathouse, Dockside, and then Hudson's, obviously different owners there. Of those three, they're really the only ones that get into the sushi of it all. I mean, it's a natural progression. If you're going to have all this seafood, you might as well have some sushi as well, right? So
Yeah,
you got your rolls, you got your, you can create, you can top any roll, you can create your own ceviche. I'm a huge fan of the um, avocado bombs, fresh avocado filled with spicy tuna, crab salad, eel sauce, spicy mayo, crispy wontons. They got a poke. They got tuna three ways, tuna carpaccio, tuna tataki. They got chilled bowls. They got chilled platters. The seafood tsunamano at the dive bar is incredible.
really.
Shrimp, scallops, calamari, shaved cucumber, shaved onions with a white soy vinaigrette. It is a gigantic platter of seafood, and all it's got is that white soy vinaigrette. It's absolutely delicious. You can get Nigerian sashimi. You can get sake. I mean, what you're looking at here is a frequent special that they have, which is it's a dumpling bowl. So there's a bed of rice, and then you have some, I think they were shrimp pot sticker. I think they call it a pot sticker bowl actually, and
It
it's
looks like pot
basically
stickers. Yeah,
yeah, it's basically one of those type of bowls, but with pot stickers thrown right on top. I don't know how many times there's. Look at that tsunamano, Tim. I mean, have you ever seen a more loaded, fresh seafood plate in your life? Obviously, I love
spectacular.
cucumber.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I actually forgot to mention one of the best dishes at Yukio is smashed cucumbers, just like we talked about with Etang. You got a nice, beautiful tuna. That's probably the carpaccio with the shaved onions, soy vinaigrette, a little bit of seaweed salad on top. They do it right there. I don't think I've ever been to Skull Creek Boathouse where I haven't ordered off the dive bar.
nice, nice.
Yeah,
Okay, where else? We got a couple more.
we talked about in one of our news and notes sections. Unfortunately, we had the Strange Bird, the brick and mortar location out in Savannah, had a fire recently. So they're on the move right now with Flown the Coop, where they're doing pop ups. I just had to mention them because they did a bunch of ramen pop ups, Strange Bird ramen, last year, I think maybe into this year. I ordered the whole thing. The dumplings, the char siu pork biscuit, the hand roll, whether it was tuna or mushroom. I think I went with the curry chicken ramen, and I think my wife went with the tauntaun men with the char siu pork. Either or, I think we shared it to a certain extent. If you're into venturing out to Savannah, keep an eye out for when they're going to reopen. I'm sure they're going to resume these ramen bowls. I mentioned John Park earlier, aka the Hungry Asian RKE on Instagram. He was in town until this afternoon doing some content and things like that. He'll be over in Savannah doing some more content this week. He gave an endorsement of the ramen situation, as did my friends Marno and Marie Muth at School Pizza. So, ringing endorsements are all around for the Strange Bird Ramen pop up. Keep an eye out for when that will come back.
I think that does it.
Yes, three real quick. We talked
Oh
about them
yeah, yeah,
already.
yeah.
Sakura Ramen and Sushi in New Riverside. I didn't get into the sushi of it all. My brother really enjoyed this Japanese fried rice that they did. So go check them out. I want to sit at the sushi bar and just enjoy some sushi dishes. Another place where you go to the website and you got to go to the order online to see what you're dealing with there. So I got more exploring to do. I did just a takeout, a ramen centric dinner shortly after they opened, but
Oh no, they got the menu
bowls.
on this. You talking about Sakura? Unless I pulled up the wrong one. Is this?
Yeah, that's you got to type in Sakura Bluffton. The website is actually kind of odd. It's
Okay.
Yamato9000.com. That's what it
Oh, I
points
thought
to.
that was Yamato.
Yeah,
That's
if you
that's.
oh, you know what? I'm sorry, Tim. I skipped ahead. I got my tabs out of order here. No,
Yep.
you're absolutely right. Sakura, I'm sorry. Sakura Bluffton, they do
Yep.
have the
Okay.
website set up with the menu on there. I'm sorry, I got a little out of
No
order. I'm
problem.
weary
No
today.
problem.
I'm still I'm on an empty stomach. So yes, go check them out. I want to check out their sushi. They have a lunch menu from 11:30 to 2 p.m.
Yep.
And like I said, my brother really enjoyed that that Japanese fried rice that they had. And I'm definitely going to be getting back there to hit up more of the sushi menu. Like I said, I did more of a ramen centric dinner for
I,
takeout the first time. Yeah, I skipped ahead. I was talking about Yamato Asian Grill and Poke, which
I'm
is the
just
opposite
yeah.
direction down 170.
I'm just intrigued by the name alone, the Aston Martin sashimi. I've got to. I'm gonna try that just for the name.
Hey, listen, sometimes you just got to go with your gut, right?
Yep. All right. So
Aston
you
Martin.
mentioned Yamato.
Yes. Yamato Asian Grill and Poke. For those of you Poke fans out there, this is a new option for that 170 corridor, right down the road from us here. I did a takeout there a couple of weeks ago, and yeah, very straightforward. Asian grill and poke, fast casual.
Nice options in
Special.
terms of make your own bowls.
Yep, they got hibachi entrees, and they got fried rice, crab rangoons, a lot of kind of cool stuff. So go check them out. Simple menu, but simply very tasty as well.
And then I love the fact that you want to mention Kroger.
Listen, people are gonna laugh, and I didn't realize that this Zenshi was something that provides sushi to not just Kroger but Publix. But I have to specifically say the Kroger over at Buckwalter Place, their Zenshi is a souped up Zenshi, both with the amount of options that they put out there. And, listen, if you're at the grocery store and you're doing your shopping and you're like, I kind of want an easy dinner tonight, I got plans, whatever the case is, they are working like busy little bees day in and day out, cranking out rolls. They do dumplings that you can heat up. I even had shout out Janine Lebrano from Alliance Group Realty said, "What's this deal with this spam spam maki or something like that?" And I
Spam,
said,
spam, spam.
"You got my attention, Janine." I said because I'm a huge fan, specifically, and this is one that we'll talk about on an upcoming episode um, before the end of this season. But I'm a huge fan of the spam masubi at Al's Aloha Kitchen, and so you know when someone tells me that I can go to Kroger to the sushi department, and they have something very similar to that, which is essentially a sushi roll that's got Spam on it, I'm in. I just, one of the things that I enjoy eating, specifically at Al's, I'll do a bowl and I'll do the Spam musubi. So when she mentioned something about that, and then I literally just popped into Kroger to pick up a couple odds and ends, I was like, oh, they have this roll that she mentioned that's got Spam in it. I got it. It was delicious. I got some dumplings to do a quick reheat, and there was probably some other sort of sushi centric thing that I enjoyed as well, picking up there that day. So
Nice.
when you're talking about convenience, it gets the job done, as we've said.
So
That's it.
we failed. This was a hard fail on the brevity side today.
We were set up to fail because we had 2 interviews. We had a short one, we had a long one, and hey, listen, man.
I take blame on the 52 minutes on the intro side and the news and notes. I'll take one for the team there. Yeah. Now we as Tony and Wilbon say, we'll do better next time.
Listen,
Good night,
like we said at
Canada.
the top, right?
Yeah.
Bear with us. We're going to work
Yes.
on this stuff. We're in the process of working on it right now to streamline things and to put it into more manageable doses, if you will. It'll go from a large format, 10-course meal to more of a tapas, let's call it, in the parlance of the restaurant business.
Let's do a couple of quick shout outs here. Check out the Indulgent Islander YouTube channel at the Indulgent Islander at youtube.com. It's a great watch on your phone, your tablet, your TV. Check us out on YouTube. Please subscribe. Pound the subscribe button for us. We would hugely appreciate that. This is a production of Over Medium Media. You want us to produce your podcast? Call or text us at 843-290-6242 or email tammywood@gmail.com. All right, Nick. Next up on the hit list for us is going to be, as you mentioned, is going to be where are we going? We're going to the tap rooms next.
Yes, breweries and tap rooms.
Nice. All right, folks. Really appreciate you joining us. Check us out on all the podcast destinations: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, all your favorite podcast locations. And huge shout out to Jevin Daly as you hear the music playing us out here. Nick, great show as always. We'll put the shot clock on next time.
Hey, listen, we just got to keep it going. Like I said, we'll make those changes. We'll make those improvements. Thanks to Antonio. Thanks to Marshall. Thanks to Tim for driving this car, as always. And we'll see you guys next week for breweries and tap rooms. Stay hungry, my friends.